And a welcome here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, here where sports meets life inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. I hope you're having yourselves a wonderful day today. The weather is nice in central and upstate New York, a little overcast. There's a breeze. I could feel it. I appreciate it. I like it. So make sure you get yourself outside today and just enjoy the weather, man. You know, just enjoy. I like when there's a breeze. I like a little breeze. If it's going to be warm, give me a little, like if it's cold, we don't need the breeze maybe. But if it's, if it's warm outside, get a little breeze in your life. Nothing wrong with that. So liking the weather today. Thank you for your patience here this morning. Miss Lily has to get a haircut today, so we had to take care of that first this morning. And I definitely am happy to be here with you and so happy to be here doing what I love and loving what I do on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports meets life. We are, of course, inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios. Great Lakes Honda City, coming to you on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. You can get to them for sales and service Monday through Saturday and just make sure you go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. They're open Monday through Saturday, as I said. And, of course, 24/7, you can look at their inventory and find out more about Great Lakes Honda City by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. So make sure you do that today. Check out what they have and get yourself over to the place that's going to be giving you the next ride that you'll have for you individually or for you and the family. And I definitely thank them for all that they've done for my family over the years, for sure. So go to GreatLakesHondaCity.com, find out more today, and definitely appreciate you going over there. Let them know that DT sent you. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is with you all around the world, up and down the East Coast, the Midwest, and the West Coast, and all around the globe on YouTube.com and Facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, and on WakeUpCallDT.podbean.com. So however you're connected with the show, we thank you so much for tuning in Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern time. And of course, it is Friday, which means we have our signature segments that will start off the broadcast here with the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt, followed by Lead, Learn, Evolve, Ad-Lib, and Deliver is what the acronym LEAD stands for here on the show. God helped me with this idea a few years back, and I definitely appreciate the timing of it all. And we came up with this topic, I believe, or came up with this segment in 2019, right before COVID happened here in America. So, definitely learning, evolving, ad-libbing, and delivering on your promises, all of those things very pertinent to that time and pertinent to life in general. Proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero. Today's topic is getting off the hamster wheel. So we'll talk about that and what that means. At the top of the second hour, the top dog of the week will be named. Proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare, the only place to bring your dog for short-term care. And it's on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, New York. Make sure you head over there today and let them know that DT sent you. And we'll round out the show at 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, as I will be joined by my good friend and brother, Mr. Ross Turetsky, who's going to be joining the show, fellow sportscaster and writer, and him and I are going to be speaking on the Major League Baseball topics of the day, as well as the NFL topics that are going on. So we'll bring you through that, and of course we'll do it with some comedy, as we always do here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. You never know where Ross and I are going to go with the conversation, and that's the beauty of it, so you don't want to miss that. If you want to laugh here on a Friday morning, or whenever you're watching this show back, we're happy to be here for that. So plenty coming up here on Wake Up Call, getting started with the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. Let's go.
Dan Tortora proudly brings you...
Is that for real? Are you kidding me?
The Annoying Moment of the Week.
I really, honestly, I don't know how to respond to this.
Presented by Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street. It's what happy tastes like.
Do you have to be that crazy? I guess so. The Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. For this week, I mean, I can't act like I don't see it, right? I tell you this all the time. I'm not somebody who typically is watching the news because I don't want to depress myself every day. So I'm not someone that you're going to commonly see watching the news. But to me, you can't really not see what's going on currently in this country, and the fact that there are riots going on. It has to be my annoying moment of the week because it's unsafe, because it's unsettling, because I care about the families, any family, whether I know you or not, I care about you. We're all God's kids. So God doesn't call me to care about the people God doesn't say, "Hey, just think about the people in your life and that's it," or the people that you talk to, those are the only people that matter. Everybody matters. And that's why I struggle when people say that one group matters over another group, because I don't believe in that. I think it's just kind of passing the buck on racism here, there, and everywhere, and prejudice and sexist. I don't think men matter more than women. I don't think women matter more than men. I don't think any color or race matters more than the other, or national origin. And I don't think that, to me, none of that. Religion, I don't think there's any religion that matters more than the other. I think the importance about life, and this the thing is, so many people want to group us, and the media is a culprit of that. Not here on this show, because we don't seek to segregate, but the media is a culprit of this, by and large. They want people to hate each other that are different colors, different races, different national origins, different backgrounds, different money. They want to put you in a class system. If you're a different religion, they don't want you to like each other. For some odd reason, in these last few years, we've seen a governmental and media push for men and women to hate each other. So it's just been, it's weird. It's like men are not supposed to be men anymore, and women are not supposed to be women. And then it's like, well, what does that mean, Dan? And it's common sense, like a man is not, I think women can be strong. I think men can be, like, I don't understand, I was raised that like women are sensitive and men aren't, but I'm a sensitive guy. So some people called me names, some names that you wouldn't like to hear on this show or off the air. And they had nothing to do with me. The names were really disrespectful. And the reality of it all is I just am a man who talks about my feelings. And they say that that's a rarity, but in my world, it's not. In my world, that's what we do. My brothers that I have, we talk about our feelings. We say, "I love you" every time we get off the phone. We hug when we see each other. Like, I don't know this like stereotypical man who can't talk about their feelings, who can't say "I love you," who can't share things, who isn't open and honest, because I've always been those things. So I feel like we're living in this society where like men are being told not to be strong, and women are supposed to be strong, and men are supposed to be weak, and white people are supposed to apologize to black people because of slavery. And it's like, that's asinine. I have friends of all different colors. I'm not apologizing to them for slavery because I didn't commit slavery. I've never had a slave. I never would have had a slave. If I was born during the time of slavery, I would have fought to free the slaves. There's no way, shape, or form that I would have been on a plantation totally fine with people being whipped and put into some type of servitude to me as if I'm God, because I'm not. So, I just, living in just the things that I hear. And then you see these California riots, and I think Whoopi Goldberg in The View, which I don't watch that show, but there was a clip that I saw, and Whoopi apparently put up the California riots next to the Philadelphia Eagles fans celebrating winning the Super Bowl. And she's like, "Can you tell the difference?" Here's my thing, Whoopi. Like, neither one of them is right. One is political, the Philadelphia Eagles trashing their own city, not political. That was sports related. So, those are different. But trashing a place, listen, the thought that a sports team would celebrate winning a championship by looting, burglarizing, defacing, destroying people's homes, people's property, cars, setting cars on fire, using weapons, being violent. Like, none of that makes sense. Like, you're celebrating a win. Like, when Syracuse won the 2003 NCAA men's basketball Division I national championship, nothing inside me was like, you know what? I'm going to go outside. I'm going to set my dad's car on fire, and I'm going to take a hammer, and I'm just going to start smashing windows up and down the street that I live on. Nothing inside of me thought that. I wanted to cry. I was happy. I was happy to be with my parents and my dog Shady. God bless her in heaven. I was stunned and excited. I picked them to win the championship that year, but there was that feeling of like, did this actually happen? And nothing inside of me was like, hey, I want to just cause violence and destruction. So the whole like celebrating a victory by being an insane idiot doesn't make sense to me. It also doesn't make sense to me that you're standing up against something by just like, you don't, and a lot of people have said this in videos. So let me get this straight. You're waving the flag of the country you came from. That's your national origin. You're waving that flag in America, saying you have pride in the country you came from, while you're burning the American flag. But you don't want to go back to the country that you're chanting for, and you want to stay in the country that you're setting on fire, looting, and burning their flag. Where's the logic in that? There's no logic in this. So, with all due respect to Whoopi, to put up two videos and say, like, basically trying to say, like, how are Philadelphia fans setting their city on fire any different than the California riots? Because the California riots are about politics, and it's about immigration, and it's not about a team winning a championship. Neither one of them is right for destroying a city. But, I mean, listen, California suffers from wildfires. And we saw the destruction of that, right? And the weeks of trying to get these things under control. And now you have human beings setting fires, looking scary. I mean, I don't know if y'all have seen some of these videos. These people don't look safe. It doesn't look comforting, you know? And they talk about, and this is what I find funny, when the media says, oh, it's not a protest, it's not a riot. Well, what do you call destruction? If you're setting fires to places, destroying things, being violent, spitting at people, that's not a riot? That's not an upheaval? Like, we have the freedom with the First Amendment to assemble. That doesn't mean we have the freedom to loot, burglarize, deface, trash, be violent. That is not what the freedom of assembly means. And I am all for people standing up for something they believe in, even if it's something that I don't believe in. If you believe in it, I am for you standing up for it peacefully. Because here's the thing that should not be political. There are kids that live in LA, right? There's kids that live in California, right? Would you feel safe with your child walking through the streets with people with skull masks on, smashing windows, and throwing Molotov cocktails at police? Would you want your child to walk those streets? Do you want to drive those streets? Do you want to live on that street? Like, I think about that in my life. I say, okay, what if people in Syracuse were protesting something they were against? So they started smashing windows downtown. And I know business owners downtown. So they destroy downtown businesses. They set the Dome on fire. What are they achieving? Because whatever you stand for, if you're being violent and hateful and negligent and irrational and disrespectful and gross, how are you achieving anything? How does setting a car on fire achieve your goal? How does smashing somebody's window achieve your goal? How does stealing a television from a business achieve your goal? So I have to talk about this on the show today because I can't sit here and pretend like I'm not seeing it. Now, if there's any media person saying these aren't riots, well, whoever paid them off, congratulations, but you still look like an idiot. To anyone who's trying to say that these riots are no different than somebody celebrating a Super Bowl win? Yes, they are, because these are political. We used to be a country, and I'm sad that I'm saying used to, but just hear me out. We used to be a country that watched people rioting and fighting and hurting each other and causing people to go to the hospital and beating up cars and setting things ablaze and all this stuff and spitting on it. We used to watch these videos of other countries and other places away from America, and we would have been like, oh my, we would have looked at that and we're like, oh my gosh, these people are animals. These people are gross. These people are disgusting. What type of society is that? Thank God I don't live there. Now we're those people. And apparently online, I watched a video of a guy that said that he was offered $200 a day. Was it $200 a day or $200 a week? Whatever it was $200. And he was offered this money to, there was an organization reached out to him, offered him money to be a part of starting riots in New York City. Gave him a date, which is coming up here in June, told him where like the ammunition would be, essentially, where these like blocks would be for them to throw. And this is something that we've heard before when there was rioting and different protest things going on in New York City, that there was pallets of bricks that were being delivered to places and just left in the city. So my question to you is, what organizations are seeking to kill this country? And why are people going along with it? Do we have this many uneducated people that think that in order to solve a problem, violence is the answer, spitting is the answer, disrespecting law enforcement is the answer, looting is the answer, burglarizing is the answer, defacing a business is the answer, setting a car on fire is the answer? How is that the answer? And who's going to clean this up? And so, to the mayors and the governors of these areas, you have to do something. And if I was president of the United States and I saw one of my cities on fire, I would do something. I would. Let's take Trump out of it, Biden out of it, whatever. Take all that out of it. If I was president of the United States, and let's say I was an independent, let's say I didn't run for either party, I'm just an independent, which I feel like in order to love God and serve and serve God, you have to be an independent. But let's just say I'm an independent. If I saw a governor not taking care of their state, and their state was on fire, and there was these people in the streets that were terrorizing others, I absolutely would send in whatever I can. The National Guard, the SWAT, somebody. I would send somebody in, because I would think to myself, we have to stop it. We have to contain it now. It can't spread to any other cities. It can't spread to any other towns. It can't get any bigger than it is where it is. I would stop it. Not because I'm a dictator, but because I'd prefer to have no more cars on fire. I prefer to have no more businesses that have to call their insurance company because all their windows are broken and all their TVs have been stolen. And people, you have to understand something. When riots happen, and please stop calling them peaceful protests, the only definition that I will accept of a peaceful protest is people standing somewhere, talking nicely, not swearing, not screaming, not spitting, not setting things on fire, not being violent. Like, a peaceful protest is not a bunch of people screaming at people that disagree with them and threatening those people. That is not a peaceful protest. We can't sit here any longer and say, well, as long as I use my words and I don't punch anything, it's peaceful. No, it's not peaceful. Think about it. Is it peaceful in your home if your husband or wife started calling you names, screaming at you? They didn't punch you in the face, but they're screaming at you, spitting on you, and calling you all types of names. You think that's good for your kids to see? So the only thing I will accept as a peaceful protest is people sticking up for what they believe in, carrying signs that don't swear, that don't personally attack, and that don't defame or deface, and that people speaking are not personally attacking, defaming, defacing, spitting on, swearing, yelling, screaming. That's what I will accept as a peaceful protest. because there are things to peacefully protest that are okay to peacefully protest. What if I said I wanted to stand in front of an abortion clinic and I wanted to peacefully protest? Would people think less of me that I value every human life? Every single one of them? Would it be wrong for me to carry a sign to say if any of you were aborted, you couldn't be here to yell at me? And let's call what it is what it is. The people that are pro-abortion couldn't be pro anything if they were aborted by their mother. So they're in a privileged situation, are they not? And so that's one example. Am I allowed to stand in front of my church and say Jesus is risen? Now, am I for the person or people that stand in the street and tell us all that we're going to die and that Jesus died for our sins and we're all terrible people and we're going to hell? I can't stand hearing that stuff. And I don't think any of that has to do with God. But if they're there and they're not swearing and yelling and screaming and attacking people and getting in your face, they're peacefully protesting, right? They're peacefully protesting something. And people are allowed to peacefully protest. But you're not allowed to, in my opinion, you should not be allowed in this country to violently protest, aka riot. And the thing that I don't understand about what's going on in California is you have enough fires that are started by nature. Why would you start any more by yourself? The other problem that I have with California is if you're standing up for something that you don't agree with, how is doing what you're doing in a violent manner going to help your case? To me, it's going to put you in jail. Or it's going to get you sent away from this country quicker. And the funny thing about, and here's the thing, I'm a great grandchild of immigrants, right? Really, none of us, when you go and do the research, Native Americans were not even born here. I think they said that the first people that came over from, because remember how the world was way back when, the first people that came over and settled in what is now North America became the Native Americans, but there was no one physically born on the land. So the land doesn't belong to anyone by birth on the land. But the first people to find it are the Native Americans, right? So if the Native Americans are the first people to find the land, and they claim the land, most of us are immigrants. And there's a definition between legal and illegal. And if my parents came in here illegally, I would be scared probably every day of my life that somebody could find out, right? And so this world is so warped right now because I feel like people are yelling and screaming about things that they don't even understand, because I've seen some of these people get interviewed and they're holding up signs and they're out there protesting, but then you ask them about it and you ask them to give factual evidence and they don't have any information. And they get mad at you for asking them to explain themselves, because they don't have to explain themselves, but you have to explain yourself if you're on the other side. And that's the thing we have to get rid of in this world is I don't have to explain myself, but you have to explain yourself to me. You can't ask somebody for something that you're not willing to give. And I'm sick and tired of people saying to me, you have to defend yourself and explain yourself, but I don't have to, so don't you dare ask me. And if you ask me, I'm going to scream and I'm going to cry and I'm going to call you a bunch of names, but you can't call me anything or scream or cry in my face. A child will try to end an argument by crying, screaming, or leaving the room. How many adults are doing that right now? On camera. How many adults right now end an argument by running away, screaming, crying, attacking? That is what a child does. We call those temper tantrums. So what we're watching in America right now is a bunch of temper tantrum adult babies that don't want to answer any questions, don't want to say why. And here's my thing, take the politics out of it. If I was living in California right now, I would be concerned for my safety, for the safety of other people. This, to me, should never be a political thing. There's nothing that makes sense about what's going on right now. I'm going to burn a flag about a country I want to live in. I'm going to raise a flag about a country I don't want to go back to. I'm going to have pride in the country I came from, and I'm going to try and destroy the country that I'm in, but I want to stay in that country. Could you imagine what would happen to an American if we went to France and we're burning their flag in the streets and waving American flags and smashing smashing windows of businesses and setting cars on fire in France? Could you imagine? I've talked to people that have gone to France. They said that they have they have law enforcement that have machine guns in the airports. Could you imagine what life would look like if Americans went to Italy, France, Brazil, Mexico, Germany, and started waving the American flag, burning the flags of all these other places, chanting, spitting in their law enforcement's faces, fighting with people, smashing things and setting things on fire? Could you imagine what would happen? Could you imagine what would happen to an American if they went to Russia and raised the American flag and burned the Russian flag? Could you imagine? What if we did that in China? See, people don't want to talk about common sense anymore. And the common sense of it all is America is probably one of the only countries where you can act like a complete imbecile and not get arrested. Burning the flag used to be treason. I mean, growing up as a kid, I couldn't even imagine of burning a flag in my front lawn if nobody saw it but me. And see, here's my thing. When you burn the American flag, you're disrespecting me because I'm proud to be American. You're disrespecting my grandfathers and my great uncles that fought in World War II, because I'm sure Germany wanted to burn that flag. Maybe Japan wanted to burn that flag. Maybe there was a time where Italy wanted to burn that flag. Maybe Russia wanted to burn that flag. So what do you think other countries are seeing? And by the way, this is something that's been talked about for a while. They've said that in order to defeat America, you don't have to attack America. You don't have to use bombs with America. You don't have to do anything except give Americans ideas and watch them implode. Just give them ideas, infiltrate their minds, and watch them kill their own society. Are we not seeing that right now? You know, people don't want to talk about this because they don't want to get political. To me, this is not political. This is not political. This is about who in their right mind would want anybody living in this country that's burning our flag, looting, destroying, burglarizing, defaming, defacing, spitting on people, and being violent and setting fires to cities and towns. How can anybody watch these videos and defend animals? And that's who these people are. They're animals. I don't care what they stand for. How they're acting is animalistic. It's animalistic. It's anarchy. And it's unacceptable. Like I've said before, if you're peacefully protesting something, calmly, not yelling, not swearing, not calling people names, not burglarizing, not looting, not being violent, not spitting on people, not threatening people, not having signs that have swearing language and attacking language, then go out there and protest peacefully. But the fact of the matter is there's a lot of ignorant people in society, and apparently a lot of them in the media, and they don't seek the information. Like, I have a friend who was a cop in New York City. Why is he not a cop anymore, Dan? Because and I don't know if this is the only reason, but he said to me, the way that things are going, I don't know if I can keep doing this, having a wife and kids at home, and obviously people that are worried about him, and not feeling like he can actually do his job, not feeling like he was safe in doing his job. Cops are supposed to keep us safe. When cops feel unsafe, what type of society are we building? And by the way, if you're pro-riots, then you're pro-anarchy. If you're pro-anarchy, good luck living in a world where if there are no laws and there's no one to come save you, good luck with that. Be careful what you wish for. And so my buddy's a cop in New York City, and he told me he's at a protest. And the way that these people were, he's like, I went up to this person because people were screaming at cops, spitting on cops, whatever. And he said, I went up to somebody and I said, hey, listen, we'll stand with you all day. We will be here with you all day as long as you act right. Okay, act accordingly here. You can't be spitting on cops and we'll stand with you all day. Like he said, I'm here for you. I'm here for you. But if you keep going in the direction and you keep escalating, they're going to ask us to leave, and then they're going to bring in special forces or SWAT, special ops, and he said that's not going to be a good day for you. Like, he literally told the protester, I am here with you. You don't want me to leave because what comes after me is not going to be kind and nice to you. And that's the thing that people understand. They want to play the videos of like, look at this person getting beat up and look at this happening, look at that happening. Okay, well, none of those people come in if you're not acting a certain way. They're not supposed to come in and do anything, right? If things are escalating and you're escalating a situation, don't be surprised when somebody comes in to stop that. Now, do I want to see anybody hurt, cop or human or person in the street? No. I don't want to see anybody get hurt. I don't want to see anybody's life threatened. People have to understand what's happening in California. If you're saying these aren't riots, please give up your job as a broadcaster, as a media person, as a journalist. If you're saying that these are safe and peaceful, please give up your job as a broadcaster and media person. If you are working in the government and you say that these aren't happening or they're peaceful or they're not a big deal, please give up your job. Put somebody in there that's competent, that can see. We're living in a society where what we see with our eyes and what we hear with our ears, someone is telling us is not happening. And some of us are going, yeah, you're right. My eyes are lying to me and my ears are hearing it wrong. See, I'm the type of person where I'm going to talk to people that are within the situation. I'm going to talk with people that have no reason to lie to me. I talked to a total stranger whose husband is working on the construction in central New York. And she told me that he said that Governor Kathy Hochul had said something along the lines of, well, there's not enough traffic in Syracuse. So like to rip apart all these roads at the same time, to her, there's not much traffic in Syracuse, so apparently she didn't think it was going to be a problem, is what I'm taking from it. Now, I didn't speak to Kathy directly, but this woman had no reason to lie to me. She's talking about a situation, she's talking about her husband, and she's talking about the construction, and I said, why are they doing all this crap at the same time? And then there was this notion of, well, Kathy Hochul doesn't think that it's a big deal because there's not a lot of traffic. Now, if Kathy didn't say this, then shame on that for coming through. If she did say it, then I would like to sit down with Kathy Hochul and say, have you ever been to Syracuse? And have you ever been anywhere on the planet ever? Because if you destroy roads all over, like if you're working on every major highway in Syracuse, New York at the same time, you think there's not going to be traffic? Are you insane? So that would be my conversation with her. Now, if she didn't say it, then shame on the people spreading those rumors. If she did say it, then that is very ignorant. And I would question her ability to lead a state when she's making decisions without knowing information, factual information. But we live in a society right now, and this is not an attack at Kathy Hochul, because we don't attack anybody here on this show or off the air. I'm just saying she's the governor. This is what I heard. I don't like rumors. If it is true, I would say, Kathy, are you serious? If it's not true, then I would say, okay, well then good. I'm happy we don't have an ignorant governor. I think that we have to start putting away the Republican-Democrat stuff, and we have to start looking at things. Like, take the city of Syracuse for an example. Central and upstate New York has been ripped apart. We don't know if this road system is going to work. And guess what? We're at the mercy of, well, the old one's being torn away, and we're going to have to learn the new one and hope for the best. But what benefits does this give us? Now, if the roads were old and the bridges were old and the infrastructure was old, then yeah, you got to repair it, rebuild it, or put in a new one. But was it the right decision to rip apart some of this stuff and redirect traffic? Or should we have just fixed the roads that we had, or maybe added a lane to them? Infrastructure needs to be worked on from time to time. But taking out a portion of 81, is that really the right thing to do? When Florida has busy highways, they build highways on top of highways and new entrance ramps and wider lanes. Syracuse seemingly did the opposite and said, oh, is there more traffic? Then let's take out the highway and make people that are trying to get from point A to point B have to go all the way around it. So you're going to extend traffic for people. You're going to create potential traffic for people and make their travel longer. For what? Because the roads were old? And then it makes me ask more questions like, did you hire a construction company with people that you owed favors to that maybe gave you money on your campaign? Because if it doesn't make logical sense why the roads are being dismantled, then I have to look at other things that might make sense, like campaign endorsements and, maybe not caring about a city as much, maybe doing something a cheaper way because you don't want to spend money and you're trying to show that you decreased the debt of a state. So you decrease the debt by not spending as many materials and punishing a city that's done nothing to you just because you're trying to save a little bit of money. So if it doesn't make logical sense, then I follow the money trail. And again, I'm not saying that anybody has done anything dirty in New York. I'm just saying if it doesn't make logical sense, now I'm saying, okay, does it make sense in a dirty way? Does it make sense in a saving money way? Does it make sense in a I didn't really understand this way? Does it make sense in a, my hand was forced to do something like this from someone that, helped me get this job? So I start asking those other questions when the things that make sense aren't coming through to figure it out. Because believing that every politician is out there for the good of mankind, obviously we know that that's not true. Believing that there's that every conspiracy is false, obviously we know that that's not true. Most of us thought JFK was an inside job or that there was multiple shooters. I think waking up this morning, if you think JFK died because some maniac by himself did it, come on now. And whether you like Donald Trump or not, the fact that anyone can go from their car with a weapon all the way up to a building and lay on top of that building and come within a hair of assassinating a president-elect, a former president, or someone who's running for president, if that bullet was going toward Kamala, Trump, or Biden, it's wrong. The fact that somebody could get up there, if you think that that was just by coincidence, you're an idiot. And so we need to stop politicizing these things and just saying, if we're living in a country where in 2024, at the time, with all the technology we have and all of the protective measures that we have and everything we've learned from the past and assassinated presidents or people who have made attempts on a president to assassinate that president, if you believe in 2024 that an individual is working completely alone and got all the way up there because he was just sneaky enough and good enough, you're an idiot. And people in the media have to stop being afraid of calling out things, because I'm not a conspiracy theorist. And there are stories out there that people call conspiracies that make perfect sense, and dominoes falling in that direction. And those people get labeled as conspiracy theorists, when in actuality, what they're saying makes almost perfect sense. And when you look back on things in our history, you sit here and you ask, like Martin Luther King, you think that was just a random shooter? Abraham Lincoln ended slavery. You think that was just a single man that wasn't working with some type of shadow organization? Like, if you actually think that Abraham Lincoln, Martin Luther King Jr., and John F. Kennedy were all killed by a single person acting alone who was crazy, who heard voices in their head, you're an idiot. You're an idiot. And there's really, like, you're illogical, you're irrational, or you just want to believe that, conspiracies can't happen. Aliens are a conspiracy, but there's a lot of people that believe in them, and people don't call those people crazy like they used to. So I think we need to, in America, we need to start talking about things, and we need to start really looking at things. A riot is a riot. It's not a peaceful protest. Whatever it's for, it's not achieving its goal. You do not achieve keeping immigrants in this country. Think about this. If my family came over from Italy and Spain and decided to burn the American flag, wave the Italian flag and the Spanish flag in Syracuse, New York, and were spitting on cops and looting and burglarizing and smashing windows and setting cars on fire, I would not be living here right now. My butt would be in Italy or Spain, because my family would have been sent back there, if not jailed in America. The whole trajectory of my family would have changed. Think about that. Think about that. If my family came over in Ellis Island and started punching cops in the face, I wouldn't even be here, arguably, because they might have gotten killed. What if one of them pulled a weapon on somebody? So we need to start calling things what they are. And we need to stop making this a politic thing. Well, they don't like Trump, so they're allowed to riot. You're not allowed to riot. There's nothing in the Constitution that says you're allowed to riot that I know of. Freedom of assembly, to assemble. Not to loot, not to burn, not to spit, not to attack, not to hit, not to punch, not to shoot, not to stab, not to kill. To assemble. And I don't really get why people are defending it. Again, whether you're Republican, Democrat, Muslim, Jewish, Catholic, black, white, blue, brown, teal, man, woman, child, adult, elder. If you're walking down a street that's on fire, I'm going to be concerned for your life. You could have totally different views than me, and if someone shot at you, I would try and get you to safety. You could have totally different views than me. And if you cried on my shoulder and said, I just need someone to listen, I would sit there and I would hug you. Because Jesus Christ died knowing that many of us, millions of us, maybe billions of us, were going to spit on his grave. He died because people released a murderer in his place. So we can't sit here and act like what's going on in this country didn't happen in other parts of the world thousands of years ago. A society that was willing to condemn and crucify a perfect human being and release a known murderer. Look at society in 2025. Defending lunatics, defending violent people, and crucifying people who are peaceful that say that they don't agree with it. I can't begin to understand how we got here, but I can say that we need to get out from underneath this dark cloud. And we can't do it as Democrats and Republicans. We have to do it as people. We have to do it as people that just love each other. We have to love each other. Anyone who is listening to my show today, watching my show today, screaming at their phone or their tablet or their computer or their TV, I literally have asked us all to look at violence and anger and rage and animalistic behavior and to stand up against it united. If you stand against that, then you stand with the animals. And I'm sad you feel that way, but there are things I'm very passionate about. I've never once thought to smash a car window, set a car on fire, steal a television, punch somebody in the face, or spit on a cop in order to stand up for what I believe in. I've always found another way. The diplomatic way, the logical way, the rational way. Do I like every law that exists? Probably not. Do I think that all things are fair? No. Do I think there's people in society that abuse power? Absolutely. But would I ever seek to be animalistic and violent? To be tyrannical and support anarchy in order to prove my point? No. Because violence only begets more violence. Fire will only continue to burn and spread. And let me ask you this. If you support the riots in California, do you support the fact that they sprayed all over Kobe Bryant and Gigi's mural? Do you support the fact that as they're trying to stay in this country because they love this country, quote unquote, sarcastic? What does sticking up for your rights have to do with defacing a dead man and his dead daughter's mural? Again, this stuff doesn't make any sense. Because I would never think in a million years that if I wasn't getting my way and people weren't listening to me, that if I started being violent and crazy and insane and hurtful and negligent and irrational and ignorant, that somehow was going to get people to listen to me. Think about that. In your home right now, if your wife and you were having an argument and you were peacefully talking to her and that didn't work, screaming at her, punching her in the face, hitting her with a bat, setting her on fire, and calling her names is going to make her say, oh, you know what? You're right. When you were peacefully talking to me, I didn't understand it, but now that you've done all these things to me, now I agree with you. That doesn't make sense, does it? So then put it on a larger scale. Does it make sense to burn a city down to prove your point because you don't think people are listening to you? Has burning a city down ever made anybody listen to you? Has it ever worked once in society to destroy something in order to state your case? Has it ever made sense to be violent in order to prove that you're peaceful? Unless it's opposite day. What the hell does a riot prove? Other than the fact that whatever you're trying to say and trying to accomplish is getting farther and farther from the finish line, because now they're more focused on the fact that you just burned down their business and you just caused so much of a calamity in their city that they can't get home. What if a riot stops an ambulance because the road is blocked and a person dies in that ambulance? Is that riot a good riot? Do we just call that collateral damage? When are we going to start talking with sense? When are we going to start calling out things that are wrong? And when are we going to stop listening to the media just because they said it? I told y'all, my badge might say media, but I'm nothing like the majority of it. I want to go to heaven. I don't get to heaven lying to you, cheating, stealing, and supporting violent, erratic, irrational, illogical, hateful behavior. You could be protesting something that is 100% wrong, but the moment that you get violent and evil, you are no better than the thing that you're protesting. Again, I've talked to people in New York City. I've asked them, are there people here that are being violent? Yeah. Are they actually stabbing people in Times Square? Yeah. It's funny how when you go around what people are telling you and you actually go to the source and you have conversations with people. I've spoken with people from the Middle East. Have you? I've spoken with people from Africa. Have you? I've spoken with people that are living in cities that the media is trying to tell you this, that, and the other about. Have you? I've spoken with people that live in these areas. Have you? Or are you just listening to what you're told? And if you can see something with your own eyes and hear it with your own ears, and someone can tell you it's not real and you can believe it, God bless your soul, and may the Lord take off of you whatever soot is blocking. Because if you can see something and or hear something and someone can tell you it's not real, what if you walked in on your partner cheating on you and you saw it and you heard it, and then they told you after they put a robe on that it didn't happen? Would you go, oh yeah, you're right. If you say it didn't happen, then my eyes and my ears were lying to me. Again, when I talk with you in these examples, you go, yeah, Dan, that sounds insane. If I saw and heard someone cheating on me and then they told me I wasn't, I wouldn't believe them. That's insane. Then why are you doing that with the media? Then why are you doing that with government officials? Why are you believing things that are not true? And why are we not all standing together saying we need to stop riots because it's not safe? Why are we not standing together understanding that it's summer in California and that they already have wildfires? They don't need any other fires being set because any one of these fires could cause another fire, could cause another fire. And then when they say it's only a 4-block radius, only a 4-block radius. Look at your block you live on, times it by 4. Okay? Think about that. It's only a 4-block radius. To some of us, that's the entire community that we live in. It's only a 4-block radius that is on fire right now. Only a 4-block radius that's on fire right now. To some of us, that's 80 houses. 80. That's only 80 families. Times 3 people in the house. That's only 240 deaths. Plus animals. That's only 300 deaths. Think about what people are saying to you. It's only a 4-block radius. Look up and down your street. Look up and down your block. Then multiply it. That's like somebody telling you in the media, it's okay if we dropped a bomb in your neighborhood. because we're only killing a few of y'all. I'm not going to apologize that every life matters to me, every human being matters to me. I'm not going to apologize that I feel that way. Again, you could completely disagree with everything I believe in, and I'm still going to pray for you, hope the best for you, and want you to succeed in life as long as you're not hurting people. We need to start normalizing working together. We need to start normalizing common sense. We need to start normalizing the fact that unless you want Jesus to come today, act right. This has been the Annoying Moment of the Week, proudly presented by Carvel DeWitt. I pray for everybody. I was praying for the fires to stop in California when they were happening in nature. Now I have to pray for fires to stop that people created. Why would you even want to live in a place that doesn't have peace? You know what I'm saying? We used to be a beacon of hope for people, a beacon of freedom, a beacon of peace. We used to be a place that people looked to, that people ran to, that wanted to live here because where they were living was not good and it wasn't safe. When I was a little kid, we looked at the Middle East and said, oh my gosh, thank goodness I don't live there. As an adult in 2025, I'm looking at the country I live in and saying, how are we any better at times than the Middle East? Little me was like, thank goodness I don't live there. Adult me is going, oh my goodness, why does there look like here now? Why does here look like there now? I care way too much about God's children to just sit here and keep my mouth shut and talk about sports stats and not talk about the fact that there are some unsafe, unnatural, disturbing things happening in our culture, and we have to work together to get through it. I love you all. Let's take a step aside. Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We'll be back after this. In these unique times, there are those in our community that give us a sense of normalcy and positivity. Pizza Man on 50 Oswego Street in Baldwinsville has been here for you for over 35 years and is here now. Call 315-638-1234 or order online at pizzamanbville.com to bring those familiar tastes into your home. And remember to come see our monthly on-site broadcasts centered around the community and our Baldwinsville Bees. Pizza Man in Baldwinsville. Any way you slice it, they are always here for you. Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
All right, you need to come out here and get yourself the Brooklyn Pickle. I was talking about this with one of my buddies. I was like, yo, there's no better sandwich in the state of New York than the Brooklyn Pickle. And now that I found out that they're going down to North Carolina, we are taking over your taste buds everywhere you are, wherever you're going to be. You need to get yourself out to the Brooklyn Pickle. Pinehurst, you just realized that you found yourself the best sandwich shop that you're ever going to have. This is a glorious moment. It's a blessing to your community. You're welcome. Brooklyn in the house, baby. Go over to the Brooklyn Pickle. You already know what it is.
You heard the man. Head to Brooklyn Pickle Pinehurst on 1788 Old Morgantown Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday for sales and service. Make sure you head there today. Let them know the DT sent you and find their new and used vehicles on their lot. You can also get a sneak peek by going to GreatLakesHondaCity.com. With that being said, jumping into lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver is the acronym. And today's topic presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero, getting off the hamster wheel. Well, what does that mean? It means that there are habits that you might have in your life, and you got to get off the wheel. You know, we run on the wheel and we complain, but we don't get off the wheel. You got to get off the hamster wheel. You have to. And it's nobody else's job to get you off the hamster wheel than you. It is your job to take care of your own life. That is what you have to realize. That is what you have to understand in your life. No one is going to get you off the hamster wheel except for you. You might have family that helps you. You might have friends that help you. You might have a therapist. You might have a teacher. You might have a mentor. You might have a coach. But you ultimately have to decide. They're not with you 24/7, and they're not always in your brain, right? Or they're never in your brain, I should say. They're not always with you, is what I was saying before. They're not with you 24/7. They're not in your mind. They're not in your heart. People can give you advice, but like they always say, you can take a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. And that's the truth. You can't. You can literally take a horse to water, shove its face in the water, and the horse may keep its mouth shut. Or the horse may take some water in and spit it out. You cannot force somebody to do something that they don't want to do. And that's one of the hardest things that I've had to learn in life. And one of the things that I had to do in getting off the hamster wheel myself, my getting off the hamster wheel was realizing that you can't save everybody, right? You can't change people. You might see somebody doing something really hurtful or harmful in their life, and, you know, I mean, the reality of it all is people are not going to change because you told them to. People are not going to change because you... I have been in relationships where I have begged people. I have asked them, I have cried, I have yelled and screamed, I've sat down peacefully. I tried everything that I possibly could within the confines of myself, my words, my actions, to try and get somebody to stop hurting me, stop hurting themselves, stop hurting other people, see what they're doing, understand what they're doing. You cannot get someone off a hamster wheel. They have to get themselves off. And it's true. It's true and it's real, and it's a tough lesson to learn, but you have to learn it. Or else you're going to find yourself like I was in relationships where I was constantly dating women that were doing things that were hurtful and harmful to me and or themselves. And instead of leaving that relationship for my own sanity and my own health and wellness, I stayed in the relationship, put myself on the back burner, and sought to help them, to fix what was wrong, to clog all the holes in their life, and to try and make sure that their ship wouldn't sink. And what did that do? It put me underwater. And what did I hear 99% of the time that I helped somebody and put myself on the back burner? 99.9% of the time, that woman told me I was selfish. One of the most insane things to hear from a human being. When you are doing everything to help them, you are crippling your health, your safety, your wellness. Your mind is crippled, your mind is crippled, your heart is crippled. Your soul feels defeated, your body is exhausted, and that person tells you that you're selfish. You cannot get anyone off a hamster wheel. They have to get themselves off the wheel. And folks, you got to do it. And getting yourself off the hamster wheel is walking away from relationships like that. It is. Okay? I'm not saying don't help people. I'm saying do not stay in situations that cause you physical, mental, emotional, economical, spiritual harm. You should not be in any relationship that is causing harm to you, to your peace, okay? I am the type of person that wants to help everybody. Like I just said in the last segment in the annoying moment of the week, if you disagree with everything I believe in, but you were bleeding on the ground, I would help you. You were crying, I would comfort you. Because who are we in this world if we don't help each other? But there are people in this world that will take advantage of your help. They will take advantage of your good nature, and they will try to destroy you. There are leeches in this world, and unfortunately, there are many of them. And they will come to you in all different shapes and sizes, and they will speak a really good game, but they will literally suck the life out of you if you let them. You have to get off the hamster wheel. And if you're like me, getting off the hamster wheel makes you feel like I'm not doing God's work. I'm not saving people. Jesus did not ask you to be him. He did not ask you to die on a cross, and he did not ask you to save everybody. God asked you, in my opinion, God asked you to spread his message, share his word, be kind and good to each other. God never asked you to get punched in the face repeatedly and stay there until it eventually kills you. And what's funny is a lot of people that I dated, and this is men and women, but from my point of view, I only date women. So in the dating world, when I was dating people, when they would hurt me and I would go to leave, or I would say I don't deserve this, they would say, what would Jesus do? And they used my faith against me. And some of you have probably had this happen to you. What would Jesus do? Jesus would forgive me. Jesus would know it's okay. Jesus would know I'm not perfect. Are you perfect, Dan? If someone cheats on you and then turns around and says, why are you leaving? What would Jesus do? I don't think Jesus ever said, stay with someone who cheats on you. Stay with someone who beats you. Stay with someone who makes you feel like you should hate yourself. Stay with someone who makes you question yourself. Stay with someone who gives you anxiety. Stay with someone who makes you suicidal. Stay with someone who makes you nervous. Stay with someone who makes you scared. I don't remember Jesus ever saying that. Jesus said forgive, but forgiveness does not mean admittance. Forgiveness does not mean that you get to come back in. I can forgive you, but that doesn't mean you get to stay in my life. My goal in my life is to forgive everyone that wronged me and to understand which one of those people should and should not be in my life. There are people that I have forgiven that will never be welcome again. There are people I have forgiven that I would hear out if they wanted to talk with me again. And there are people that I've forgiven and we carry on. But when my ex-wife cheated on me, I forgave her. But why would I stay married in the same house knowing that I could come home at any given time and have a man in my bed? What type of life would that have created for me? And what human being would ask you to live in that insanity? What sick human being would ask you to live in that? I forgave her, but I will never allow her back into my life. I pray that she's well. I pray she hasn't cheated on anybody else, but I'm never going to allow that in my life again. And that is an example, and I'm sure you can think of one in your life. There are people, like I had a friend who used to talk to me about my exes. He would look up my exes and what they were doing, and he would tell me all about it. And I was like, bro, that's not healthy for me. Stop. I told him once to stop. And he did it again. After doing it a couple times, I don't talk to him anymore. Not because I hate him, not because I don't like him, not because I didn't forgive him, but I can't trust that he won't bring up stuff that's going to cause me to get back on the hamster wheel that I got off. You cannot surround yourself with people that put you on a hamster wheel that you shouldn't be on. People that talk about your exes, get off that hamster wheel. Get away from those people. People that remind you of who you were before you got healthy. If you are an alcoholic and you're not an alcoholic anymore, and you stick around a bunch of people that talk to you about how much better of a person you were when you were drunk and how much more funny you were and how you were more fun to be around when you were drunk, get away from those people. They're begging you to go back on the hamster wheel. The people that are racist, that you used to hang around and you weren't saying racist stuff, but you were hanging around them and it didn't feel right and you got away from those people. Don't go back and hang out with those people because they guilt you back into getting on the hamster wheel, because now you're around that racism again and now you're around that discomfort again. Somebody who's willing to leave your life and act like you never existed, don't you dare go back on that hamster wheel. I have made a promise to myself. If you walk out of my life, good for you. Please do not think that that door will ever be open again. Not because I'm a grudge person, not because I'm a hateful person, but why in the heck would I want somebody to be in my life that didn't want to be here before? If you didn't want to be here before, why the hell you want to be here now? Because you found out that living in the streets wasn't good? People said to me, did you ever think about getting back with your ex-wife? I had no interest in being married to that woman anymore. Not because I have a grudge, not because I hate her, and not because I didn't forgive, but because she did things in her life that I could never do to another human being. She acted in a way that proved to me that we were not only were we not partners, we weren't even friends. So you have to learn in your life about the hamster wheels that you're on. And you have to get off of the ones that are causing you stress, pain, and to be unhealthy. You have to know that, folks. Do not stay on hamster wheels that are violent to your safety, to your life, and to your wellness. Do not stay in places and around people and doing things that are causing harm to you and to others. Get off the hamster wheel. Get off the hamster wheel.
Why is he
You have to be
saying
willing to do that. And that is proudly presented by Chick-fil-A Cicero. Lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Coming up in just a moment, I will have my buddy Ross Turetsky on the broadcast here after we take this step aside from the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. We're doing the top dog of the week, and then Ross will be with us, and maybe LJ, as I see him on the screen right now. We'll be talking with you all in just a moment. Stay with us.
Hi, this is Amy from Mother's Cupboard, home of the whole frittata. We are open daily 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. For takeout orders, call 315-432-0942 and tune in to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora for our monthly food challenge and try our Wake Up Call signature menu item available 7 days a week. Here at Mother's Cupboard, we are Central New York, and it's our honor to serve you.
Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory remind us that every day is worth celebrating at 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York. Open Monday through Saturday in-store and always online at maandpaspopcorn.com. Serving our Central New York community and beyond. Order anywhere, anytime at maandpaspopcorn.com. Stop in to get a tin at Ma and Pa's on 201 7th North Street in Liverpool, New York to get your half-price refills for the rest of your life. Come to Ma and Pa's for your holiday gift giving for family, friends, employees, and clients. And remember, for fundraising and events, to call 315-450-6272. That's 315-450-6272. Ma and Pa's Kettle Corn and Popcorn Factory. How corny are you?
This is Jimmer Sikowski, owner-operator of Chick-fil-A Cicero, 7916 Brewerton Road in Cicero, right in front of the Home Depot. I had a deep feeling that God wanted me to do something bigger with my life and to help people, help others. I kept putting Chick-fil-A in my life, and I realized as I was going through the franchise selection process that positively impacting the lives of others was really core to what we do here at Chick-fil-A. First of all, it starts with the food. The food is brought in fresh daily, and we bring in local produce. We prepare to order in the kitchen. We hand bread our chicken. We hand spin our milkshakes. It's great food. It doesn't taste like fast food. I think the second thing is the way people feel when they come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. It's different. We try to treat people with intentional kindness here. which is very different and deeper than good customer service. And so I think it feels remarkable for most people to come in a Chick-fil-A restaurant. And then lastly, the impact that we try to have in the community is very different. It's a big part of the expectation of every operator of a Chick-fil-A restaurant is that they're actively engaged in their community, they're a leader in the community, and they're making a difference. When they realize that what we're striving to do is to shine a little light in their life, that's a very, very different experience than you will have in any other quick service restaurant. And it's that remarkable experience that I think people will emotionally connect with.
Welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life. We appreciate you being with us every Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time, and it is time for our Top Dog of the Week. Top Dog of the Week, proudly presented by the fantastic team at K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. They are your daily care for your dogs of all different shapes and sizes here in Central and Upstate New York, as well as the people traveling in to Central and Upstate New York. They're located on 228 Old Bridge Street in East Syracuse, across from BJ's Wholesale Club, and you will find them right off the highway and really close to Erie Boulevard as well. K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. You can call them at 315-437-7110 for more information. 315-437-7110, and you can go to K-9 KAMP.com. My top dog of the week for this week. Who could I possibly pick to be my top dog of the week? Well, you know where I'm going? I'm going to every dad out there. I am including every father for my top dogs of the week. For the dads that show up. For the dads that play with their kids, talk with their kids, read their kids' bedtime stories, sing with their kids, dance with their kids, laugh with their kids, and teach their kids the tough stuff, right? That tough love that we have to teach sometimes. Those that are sticking around and giving to their children, I want to wish you a very happy Father's Day and honor you as our top dogs of the week. That includes Ross. That includes Jason. That includes Johnny. It includes my dad. It includes Papa Joe. And so on and so forth. So many great dads out there. My buddy Isaac's dad, I want to shout him out as well. And I want to just thank all the fathers, Jason's dad, everybody's dad that is out there that has given to their children and been there for their children. And I'm not saying that we're all perfect, but I'm talking to them dog dads as well, which I'm proud to be. If you are a father of a dog, a cat, a bird, if there's anything you take care of with love, kindness, and goodness in your heart, then I want to shout you out, and I want to wish you a happy Father's Day. And you are my top dogs of the week. And dads, we need to be celebrated more. Dads need to be celebrated a heck of a lot more. And I will tell you why. When I go to the store and I go to Target, and I go to Target or Walmart or any one of these places, I can honestly tell you that there's a few cards for dads and there's a ton of cards for moms. We need to start celebrating dad, and we need to start normalizing that there are great dads in our society and there are fathers that we truly love and appreciate. So to the dads out there, happy Father's Day every day. Thank you for loving your kids, and thank you for all that you do to try and make this world a better place by not just raising your children in your family, but raising them to be good, upstanding people in society. Happy Dad's Day to my dad, to Papa Joe, to my grandpas in heaven, and to all of the dads I know, including Mr. Ross Turetsky. Happy Father's Day to every single one of you. Proudly presented by K-9 Kamp Dog Daycare. And with that being said, I bring in the person that will end the week with me here on Wake Up Call, and that is the dad that I know, Mr. Ross Turetsky, who is fittingly, with one of his children, my niche right there. And if you don't know the Boy Meets World reference, you better get to know it. My niche right there with him on his lap, Mr. LJ, celebrating Father's Day every day, as Ross is one of the best fathers I know. Ross, how you doing?
I'm doing well. LJ wanted to be on the show, and It's just a happy coincidence. We're talking about Father's Day weekend about to come up, and all the great dads out there. He wanted to show Batman all his Legos, and he also thinks he's going to be a YouTube star. He wants millions of links and clips and views. So anything you can do, that would make his day, because he wants to be an influencer, and he's only 5 years old. Where's the world gone to? The horror.
So,
Lego set.
and so LJ enjoying his time here, and obviously a shout out to Lorelai as well, as Ross is a father to Miss Lorelai.
She's watching Alvin and the Chipmunks. She's not interested in being on, but LJ wants to be a star.
Yeah. So to Lulu, enjoy Alvin and the Chipmunks, and of course to LJ, make sure you celebrate Dad. Now, what are you doing for Father's Day, Ross? Do you have a plan? Is there a Yankee game? Is there something going on?
Kind of. It's all Rail Riders against your Syracuse Mets up there, but it's going to be here in Scranton, weather pendant, because we've had nonstop rain this whole spring and early summer. So we have a 1 o'clock Rail Rider game. They're going to give out Best Dad Ever T-shirts. They're going to have us where we could throw on the field and have a catch with our kids before the game from like 12 to 12:20. Then the game's at 1. They have $2 Dippin' Dots. There's bouncy houses for the kids. And then after the game, they usually just let the kids run the bases on Sundays. They're going to let the dads, just like the moms for Mother's Day, they're going to let the dads run the bases on Father's Day with their kids.
Oh, nice.
And we're going to chase each other around the bases with Champ the mascot. And then after all that, I think we're going to like a cool seafood place for dinner afterwards. But a lot of it is weather pendant because all the crazy weather. But hopefully Mother Nature's on our side and we get to go to our Father's Day game. But we have tickets, Rail Riders. It's a Subway Series of sorts because it's Yankees AAA versus Mets AAA, and it's against your Syracuse Mets just up here in Scranton in Electric City. So we're excited about that, and fingers crossed we have baseball on Father's Day, which is a great way to bond with your kids. We can't see it. We put that there. It's a great way to bond with your kids and have a catch, and can't wait to have a catch with my son on a pro baseball stadium that I've played on a couple times in high school, college, but this will be cool. And it'll be cool to run around the bases and chase after Lorelai and LJ and feel like big leaguers for a moment.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, it's an opportunity for you to do something really special, with your children. And it sounds like the Rail Riders that, obviously Scranton Wilkes-Barre, the Rail Riders that you have, the Yankees affiliate, is doing a lot for dads. And like you said, they did a similar thing for moms as well. But I want to shout out the Rail Riders organization for putting together such an awesome event, because it sounds like there's not one, not two, but there's so many different things that you can enjoy. And I pray that God gives you clear skies and beautiful weather so that you can enjoy that. But I do want to shout out the Rail Riders organization for putting together what sounds to be a really good Father's Day.
It is. It's a first-class organization, and they do a lot of good things around our community. They let high schools play. They have like a challenger program for people with special needs. They play on that pro stadium, and they do so many great charitable foundations and work around our community. And this is one of the cool things that they do for the dads out there. So make it special. I know sometimes like it or hate it. Sometimes, Father's Day gets ignored because the dad sometimes gets ignored. And I'm not a fan of that because I grew up with not a great dad situation. My biological dad wasn't really there for us. My stepdad was doing his own thing and was not really there for us. So a lot of times my mom, in many ways, was like the mom and father for me, had to play the dual role. So I give her a lot of credit, even on Father's Day, because she had to do both for us. So it's very important to me to be the best dad I can be possibly. And even if I'm busy, I try to find as much time as possible to be there for my kids, because I know what it was like not to have a great dad situation, and I don't want to repeat the cycle, the negative cycle. I want them to grow up so they could be, my son could be a great dad one day. LJ already says that's one of his life goals. He wants to be a dad. He wants to be a good dad like me. And he jokes that he wants to have LJ Jr., or sometimes he calls his son, what do you call your future son one day?
Cookie.
He wants his son to be named Cookie Turetsky. And he wants to continue the Turetsky last name. So he's like, how do I do that? I'm like, well, one day maybe you'll be a dad. And he, allegedly, it's going to either be LJ Jr. or Cookie Turetsky. I don't know. He might get stuffed in the locker, his future kid. But that's already important. I already instilled that I'd like my son to be a great future dad, and my daughter maybe be a great future mom one day if that's what she wants to be, and they can be anything they want to be. So that's important to be there for them as much as possible. Go to their softball, their t-ball games, They start up football, soccer, do everything, karate, dance. It's very busy. Sometimes my schedule and my wife's schedule, but it's important for us. It's important for me personally to change the cycle, be a good dad, and have a good memory that will always stay with them in their hearts and minds, that they will carry on for future generations when hopefully they get to be parents.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I tell people this all the time. When I've dated people or been around people that say like, "Oh, I'm this way because this is how my mom is, or this is how my dad. It's in my blood. I can't fix it. I can't help it." And I say, if that was true, then my buddy Ross wouldn't be one of the best dads and husbands out there. He had every excuse. He could have said, "Oh, my stepdad, oh, my dad, they did this, they did that." But I tell people all the time, when you say you're a victim of your environment, I hand you back Ross and say, here's a man who has never said that, who has never told me once that he was going to act the same way, go in the same pattern, live the same cycle. So, Ross, you are my consistent example of people that you choose who you want to be in life. So I don't think you're working to break the cycle. I think you already broke it.
I appreciate that. It's very important to me. That's no matter what jobs I have, that's the number one job. As corny as that might sound, like a Hallmark movie, I have to be a good dad. There's no ifs or ands or buts about it. I have to be a good dad, and it's very important. It's the most important job I'll ever have. And when everything is complete, when my last breath is taken, my goal is that I've instilled some great things that they'll remember me for and carry on, and maybe they'll be just as good or even better. Hopefully they'll even be better than anything I could have done for them. But I want them to have good memories as a kid, because a lot of times I didn't have that. I want to make sure they have that. So it's very important for me. And I hope a lot of the dads out there get credit when they work hard. And if you're not doing enough, I know sometimes I feel bad like during the baseball season or football season when I'm covering it for the newspaper and I'm busy. I'm being torn in many different directions, and I feel like I'm not doing enough, and I feel like a failure. I think moms and dads a lot of times have that feeling, the duality feeling, where you want to work, you want to have a career, you want to do great things, you want to make money, but you also want to be there for your family. And if you're not there for your family, you feel guilty. So just do as much as you can. It's never going to be enough. You're always going to feel guilty sometimes, but just do everything in your power to be the best dad and parent you can be. So then your kids know that you love them and care for them. And like I said, I'll be there for whatever they need. It could be, a million miles away. I'll be there at whatever sport event, whatever art show, whatever dance show, whatever karate competition. I will find a way to be there, no matter what I have to do, call off work. The family has to come first, and that's the number one thing and the number one rule for me as a parent. And I hope the other dads feel the same way. And then you should get credit for it. Hopefully on Father's Day you all have great Father's Days and get treated as the good dads you are.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when I think about what you've done, I mean, and let everybody know how old your children are, because I'm about to say something, but I want you to tell their ages first.
Yeah, this. LJ here is almost 5.5. Yeah. And then my daughter Lorelai is about to turn 8 in July 11th, the same day as the new Superman movie. She said we're not going to see that on her birthday. I have to go a different day. LJ wants to. It was your birthday, LJ. We can see it. We got to make sure they can see us, LJ.
They can.
So she's almost 8. She's going to 3rd grade, and LJ is 5.5. He's going into full-day kindergarten in the fall at Dallas Wycallis School. They get to ride the bus the next 3 years together, so that will be cool. Yeah. Get to ride the school bus, and so 5 and 8, and we've been doing some sports shows where they were babies on the air. They were like a year old, a few months old. Sometimes they were screaming. Sometimes I'd have to leave the room mid-air, and I would hope no one would notice, especially when we didn't have it on Zoom. LJ, they got to be able to see us, LJ. Okay? You got to put them like that. So we've been doing shows these last, 5 to 8 years I've had kids, and since they were little ones. So now they're growing up, and they're big kids, and and now even LJ, the little one, is going to be full-day kindergarten until 4 o'clock every day come the end of August. So they're growing up very fast, and they're in like 10 different clubs and sports teams. Baseball, where I'm his t-ball coach, and then by the end of this month, he's going to be doing football for the first time, tackle football. So it's very hectic in the Turetsky household, but we wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, and he's probably going to be a DJ with these speakers in front of him.
Yeah, these like boombox. Put them right here, LJ, like this, so they can see us, okay? Yeah. That's how you got to put them. Right?
He's changing up the set here a little bit. But yeah, I mean,
he's just saying I'm too ugly to be on air. I'm more of a radio voice. He's trying to cover up my face.
But I will say this about about like when you just mentioned when you're talking about 8 years old and 5.5, and you say you always hope you're doing enough. Abby and yourself, I mean, not only have you guys remembered something that I think can never be forgotten in a marriage, but you're married to each other for, like, that's your first, right? In my opinion, God is first, and then comes your mate, right? Your partner, and then your kids. And some people in marriages where they're not happy, they put everything into their children and they forget to be partners. You and Abby have never stopped going and doing the things you love to do, going to Yankee games, going to Steelers games, going to Jets games. And now you take these kids. And I would venture to say, based on what I know of your travels, your children at 8 and 5 have been to more games than some adult people have been in their entire lives. And I think that's a lot to say about you and Abby keeping focus on each other and still dating each other and loving each other as husband and wife, and also making sure that your children have a really awesome life, which is something that you don't typically always see, right? Because it's not always easy, and some people don't do it. But I think that your kids have been to more games than I definitely. They've been to more professional games than I went to growing up as a kid. And my parents brought me to a lot of stuff. But I think there's a lot to be said about how much you and Abby do for your kids.
No, it's important. And just yesterday, we were going to do, I know you wanted me to do a sports show yesterday, and we were celebrating being together. It was the day we met 11 years ago on June 12th, 2014. So I was like, no, we already made commitments. I'm not going to break those, but I'm free today with the kids. But, that was important. We celebrate that every 12th. It's the day we met, and we got to do couples massages. Got my first pedicure, which felt really weird. I had no idea what was happening. The lady kept insisting to paint my toenails, and I was like, no, I don't want my toenails painted. And then even at the end, she's like, I paint your toenails? And I'm like, no, please don't do that. She just really wanted to paint my toenails. But so she scrubbed my feet. I'd never experienced. My wife likes doing that. Yeah. And the hot stone massages, which felt good, but now my back feels like it's beat up, like someone was like attacking me throughout. And we went to see the new Karate Kid movie, which was fun. Yeah. And went out to dinner at a nice Italian restaurant. We had a good time. So we did that. Thankfully, her mom, Nana Fran, was there watching the kids. And we got to come home. I got to read him a Diary of the Wimpy Kid book. He loves me reading him bedtime stories. We read a few. He doesn't read baby books anymore. He wants me to read these chapter books, like a new chapter every night. And so that was fun. We enjoyed that. So I got to still tuck him into bed at night. And sing him songs, and then go to bed myself because I was tired. And now today we're gonna go to see the new How to Train Your Dragon movie, and we're gonna have a good kickoff to the Father's Day weekend. So it's a lot of cool stuff. We got more softball and baseball games tomorrow, so it never ends. But it's a fun journey. I wouldn't have it any other way. And as you said, it's very important. You gotta still keep everything fresh and still go on dates with your wife. Should do that as much as possible. Yeah. And that's the foundation of everything, because if they see mommy and daddy are happy together and are in love with each other, I think they grow up to want to have healthy relationships and seek that out rather than them go into toxic relationships, which you've seen in the past people do because of their upbringing. Sometimes they overcome it. Other times they repeat the mistakes of their family's past because they see their parents yelling and screaming at each other. And even when we disagree, we try to not do that around them, and we try to be respectful. And we don't want them seeing mommy and daddy yelling at each other or saying nasty things, because we want them to know that they live in a loving household and that we care about each other and we care about them. And that's how I think that's the right way to raise these kids and grow up to be as successful as possible. Because I think the other way, you set them up for failure or a lot to overcome in life. And I don't want to ever put them in that situation. I want them to grow up happy with great memories, and then they'll want to repeat or make memories even better for their little ones one day.
Yeah, and again, I commend that. And as we get ready to celebrate Father's Day, and we obviously celebrated Mother's Day recently here, to hear those things and how you and Abby believe you should raise children, which I think is incredibly important. And I tell people this all the time, and shout out to Johnny too. I want to make sure I shout out Johnny and Jimmy and all the dads that I know, and Joey for the dad that he has become. There's so much to be said about how you decide to raise a kid. And what you do and how you do it, right? And to not want society to raise your child, which I think is what a lot of people do nowadays. Their tablets raise their children, the internet raises their children, and other people raise their children. And I feel like when you come from a household filled with love, and when you've learned morals and values from the inside out, from the household out, that when you encounter teachers that try to change that, when you encounter videos and things online and social media that tries to change that, when you encounter people in society that try to change that, they already have that inside of them. And so I think it's incredibly important to prepare someone for the outside world. And unfortunately, in today's day and age, we can't trust teachers and we can't trust people in places of power to necessarily teach the right things. And so I think it's even more important now more than ever to be a good parent and to teach morals and values and to help your child to know who they are, be comfortable in their skin, love themselves, and be good to others, because God only knows what they're going to learn once they step outside of outside of the house. The moment they walk out the door, unfortunately, and it's made me want to think about homeschooling when I eventually have kids, it's, you never know what's going to be taught to them once they leave the house. So you have to make sure that what you do in the house is going to create a strong
It's scary, especially because now there's even, never mind, there used to be bullies. They bully at school, which was bad enough, but you get to go home, and then if you had a good family, you had a good respite where they help lift your spirits up. And now there's bullies online, there's social media people, and I loathe the day when my kids are going to want to go on social media, because then I feel like it gets very toxic. I know I go on there, but I'm afraid that them being younger are very susceptible, that people can bully them and hurt their feelings. And then sometimes people, they hurt themselves when they get made fun of and teased and nonstop online, and they can't escape from it. It's not like a bully at school where you go home and you don't have to see them for at least 24 hours. It's constant. Once they get that smartphone in their hand, it scares the hell out of me, because no matter what kind of good parent you might be, once they get that the smartphone in their hand and they're looking at Facebook and Twitter and Instagram nonstop, I feel almost like you have a loaded weapon you're giving them. And if they're not ready for it, and we don't give them the tools to be ready to respond when someone's being nasty online, I'm afraid what that could be, and they'll lose their innocence, and they'll get really sad, and and not be able to handle it. And that bothers me, and it scares me. So that, as a parent, it still scares me, because they're not quite at that point, but soon I know they already asked for them, and I keep saying no, not till you're a teenager, not till like 13. They're going to want the smartphone. They're going to want to play on the internet. And who knows what they're looking at. I'm going to have to constantly check in. But then who knows if they're going to be looking at things when I can't be with them 24 hours a day when they're at school and they're doing things. So that's still very troubling in this day and age, that there's a whole other world that's not the real world that some of them look at, and even LJ will look at. My 5-year-old son, and he's like, I want to be like this Banning Cam, get 500 million views of spouted nonsense on YouTube. And he thinks that's the real world. He thinks as soon as you turn 18, you're going to get handed a check for $2 million. I'd love that to happen. And maybe if you're very talented, that could happen. But I'm trying to tell them there are some people who never make that kind of money, and you can't just expect that you're going to become a YouTube sensation and make millions of dollars promoting nonsense, and and that's your future. Like, you got to work hard, and you got to be good at something to hopefully one day make a good living. But I'm afraid that my son already kind of is in that mindset where he thinks he's going to be a YouTube star and he's going to make millions of dollars the second he turns 18, and that's troubling, and that's something that will be ongoing that we have to keep working with.
Yeah, and like, I tell, because, some people will say, well, this has got 1 million views. You don't have 1 million views on that. I say, well, my content has substance. The content that got 1 million views was nonsensical. It didn't teach you anything. It didn't bring you anywhere. It made you laugh for a second. It didn't make you think. It didn't make you grow. It didn't give you knowledge or wisdom. It was just something stupid that apparently a lot of people enjoy. And there's social media is dangerous because some of the mind-numbing stuff and the scrolling, it gives nothing to your life. And I made a promise to myself that whether I do a video that's 10 seconds or 3 hours, it's going to be a video that has substance, that has value, that I can be proud of, and that is seeking to share or help somebody move forward in a positive, always in a positive way. So with that being said, We're going to take a step aside for a fast break inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. When we come back, Ross and I will discuss a few Major League Baseball topics and some NFL topics as well. The fact that basically Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields should have just been traded for each other. We'll discuss all of this right after this fast break. Here's a message from Renee from Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York. Open Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and Sundays for brunch.
It's a lot like the way that my mom and dad ran their restaurant. We have put in place a lot of people that are family to us, very similar to how my dad hired people that were family to him. And then the tradition I'm carrying on is a lot of the items that are on our menu are my dad's. And he taught our chefs how to recreate his dishes. So I think that Tommy McNerney, who our executive chef is, to him it is an art. And I think that when he does create a dish, it's not just about making the food taste delicious, which is definitely our priority, but it's an art to him, and it's almost like his canvas on a plate where he just wants the colors to look great, and people love it because he takes pride in that. And Brian and I appreciate that. We want it to obviously look good and taste good. I will tell you, when we opened up, it was 6 weeks before COVID. And what was amazing was the community, our friends and family stepped up, and everybody did takeout. Everybody supported us. Our hearts were just so filled. So to Brian and I, obviously our friends come all the time, and we just have repeat customers in Jamesville, and I think people going to our previous restaurant in Green Lakes are making the trip to come to Brian's Landing to support us. And I mean, I think we have great food and a great atmosphere. So it's very, very important to us.
Let's go.
Head to Brian's Landing, located on 6523 East Seneca Turnpike in Jamesville, New York, where memories have become recipes that are now meals to share with you. Tuesdays and Wednesdays for dinner, Thursday through Saturday for lunch and dinner, and on Sundays for brunch. And be sure to come out for live music Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
1, 2.
Here is a special message from Brian Bruno, owner of Servomation Refreshments Incorporated.
I grew up in the family business. I had the experience of working for a national food service company with thousands of employees, and as much as I enjoyed the experience I had, there was something about owning my own company and being able to change the things I saw wrong with the industry firsthand, which is why I moved back to my hometown in Canastota, New York, to launch Servomation. It was back in 2007. When we first started the business in 2007, really you didn't find any machines with credit card readers. There was a lack of variety in machines. You got stuck with basically whatever the vending company wanted to sell that day. There was a lot of inefficiencies in the business, and those were all things that we saw as opportunities, both from a customer level to improve and from an operating level to be more efficient. We've really been at the forefront of introducing retail technology into our space. We were doing self-checkout back in 2009 before it really became a national phenomenon. The whole point of it isn't to just improve the customer experience. It's to make it feel more like a retail environment where people don't have to be afraid of what they're buying behind glass. They don't have to be afraid of not being able to see the ingredients of the packages. It was an easy transaction from that standpoint. If we were to reinvent something, we wanted to make sure what we were making looked and felt more like a deli and not like something that you would traditionally see in a vending machine. I was tired of hearing for years the customers say the wheel of death because the vending machine would circle around with the same tuna salad in it. What we wanted to do was it really change the perception of that food. So allowing customers to touch it, allowing customers to feel the weight of it, allowing customers to see the freshness of it, and also the variety of it. It really helps them change the perception and ultimately the value of what we bring to them. The point of differentiation you have to make is either in value or the quality. And I think on both of those fronts, Servomation has really, in large part, changed that value system for employees. So they no longer have to worry about bringing their food from home or having to leave their desk during the day and rush out to get back in time for their break to end. We're bringing something that they can count on in their break room every day, and they know it's going to be there, they know it's going to be fresh, and they don't have to worry about it being sold out or something that they don't enjoy. We've also heavily invested in flavored water water machine, so you can get a glass of water with a fresh piece of fruit in it, along with bean to cup coffee machine. So there's not a day that goes by we're not surprised when we get customers that call us and say, we didn't know you could do all this. We're really lucky to have a strong group of dedicated employees. Most of our employees have been with us since inception. They're family to us, and people like doing business with people they like and trust. And I think the same thing goes for employees. In a day and an age where there's a lot of corporations that just look at an employee as a number and don't get to know them, that's just not the way I was raised or how I like to do business. So we're a little old-fashioned. We like getting close to our employees. We like knowing how we can help them. We like knowing how we can improve their lives, adjust their schedules, whatever it may be to help improve their quality of life. And we think in the end that makes for a happier employee. We're fortunate enough to have really grown over the last several years, and from Pennsylvania to Massachusetts to Connecticut, we really do have a strong connection, even though we're not in the rooms every day with these employees. There's not one single employee that we feel like we don't know, and certainly we know they can call us at any time, and they're definitely treated as family to us. I wake up every single day really excited to surprise our customers in a good way. The one thing I can tell you is I think that every one of our employees and every one of our customers will continue to be the forefront of every decision we make.
Find out how Servomation can help you and your business by going to servomation.com. And a welcome back here to Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, where sports truly meets that thing called life inside the Great Lakes Honda City Studios. Jumping right into it as we have a few more minutes here with Ross heading into Father's Day. Major League Baseball, I asked a question, buddy, about who is the best New York-based franchise right now, and the majority of people said Mets, but those Yankee fans have been responding to those posts. They've been coming out here. It's been revving up over these last few days. A lot of people saying Mets, and then we got some Yankee people that are coming out and stating their case right now. And so I'd love to get your thoughts. I know you're a Yankee fan, but impartial as a broadcaster. Let's look at the season so far. Of the two New York franchises, the Mets and the Yankees, who do you think is the better team right now?
It's really close. The Mets are in first place in their division over the Phillies. The Yankees are in first place in their division. They both have almost identical records. I think the Mets have just a little bit better of a record, better win percentage. And then the Yankees beat the Mets 2 out of 3 back when they were at Yankee Stadium and booing the return of Juan Soto, who a lot of Yankee fans were upset that he took extra money to go to the Mets and turned down the Yankees' money. And now they're going to play each other at the Mets home stadium at Citi Field, 4th of July weekend coming up. So we'll see if the Mets can get revenge, because the Yankees won 2 out of 3 in their first series against each other. I think what leads down the road right now, I'm saying that the Mets are skosh better. They're a little bit better than the Yankees. But I think that's also the Yankees have had a lot of injuries. Garrett Cole, their ace pitcher, has been out the whole season with Tommy John surgery. Won't be back till next year, because that might be a different story. If you had a healthy Garrett Cole, go with Max Fried, the star lefty pitcher they got in this offseason, who might win the Cy Young for best pitcher in the American League. But even without Garrett Cole, Aaron Judge is having another historic season. Yeah. The Yankees are playing great baseball and overcoming a lot of those injuries. And I think what's going to end up happening is I think we have a great chance at a Subway Series. We almost had it last year. The Yankees got to the World Series, and the Mets were 2 wins away before the Dodgers, the eventual World Series champions with Shohei Ohtani, knocked the Mets out. But the Mets went on that Cinderella run, which I saw today was the 1-year anniversary when they had the grimace for the purple mascot for McDonald's. He became their rallying cry last year. And since then, the Mets have had the best record in all of baseball since a year ago today. Like, somehow they took off with this nonsensical grimace idea, and they've also gotten really good players, and they've gotten better and better. The Mets,
this is cool.
He is cool, but it's still kind of a wild thing to say, oh, that's why they were winning. Yeah. The Mets have the best ERA, best pitching staff in baseball, and they still have some good pitchers who are coming back from injuries. Pete Alonso's crushing the ball. Juan Soto got off to a slow start after the big contract leaving the Yankees. People are, oh, maybe he's sad, wants to go back to the Yankees. He's starting to pick it up and hitting the ball well. Francisco Lindor, the Mets leader and pretty much captain, is doing a great job at shortstop. The Mets are having a great season. The Yankees are having a great season. I think the Mets are just a tiny bit better right now. But I think that might all be decided at the trade deadline. What pieces do the Mets add? What pieces do the Yankees add to see what the final roster is going to look like? But I think in the end, I think we have a great chance, and I'm really hoping for it, just like it was in 2000. The only time the Yankees and Mets ever played each other in a World Series, the Yankees won 5 games in the 2000 World Series. I think we have a great chance for a Yankees-Mets Subway World Series this October, and I couldn't be more excited for it. So I think right now they're pretty much, along with the Dodgers, 2 of the best teams in baseball, the Yankees and Mets, and I think all roads lead to a World Series And one of the New York teams is going to be really happy. The other one's going to be sad, but we're going to have ultimate bragging rights, just like in 2000. We're going to have a Yankees-Mets Subway Series. That's what I'm thinking right now. They, to me, are the two best teams in baseball overall.
Yeah, I love to see it. I'm going to agree with you. I'm going to give the Mets a slight edge over the Yankees right now.
And that's me I grew up, a lot of people think you have to either love the Yankees or hate the Mets. I never hated the Mets. I've always enjoyed the Mets. I always grew up as a bigger Yankee fan growing up in New York. But I like both teams to do well. I always want the Subway Series, but I'm still impartial. I'm saying the Mets are just a little bit better right now. But I think it's going to be a heck of a race, and I think it's maybe the trade deadline is going to decide who's the best team. But I'll be the first one to say, even as more of a Yankee fan, I think the Mets are just a little bit better. I'm okay with saying that. I know a lot of Yankee fans that'd be blasphemous to say, or you have to hate the Mets. I've never hated the Mets. I enjoy them as long as they're not playing the Yankees. I root for the Mets. They're my second favorite team. I know people think that's sacrilegious, but the only time I have to root against them is when they're playing my Yankees. So 4th of July weekend, I'll be definitely booing the Mets and Juan Soto. But I enjoy it, and if Juan Soto was going to leave anywhere besides the Yankees, I'm glad he didn't go to the hated Red Sox. The Yankees play this Father's Day weekend, and he's in New York and playing for the Mets. So I wish he would have stayed with the Yankees to team up with Aaron Judge. It would have been like Lou Gehrig and Babe Ruth together when they were the dynamic duo smashing home runs together. They had one great year, made the World Series together. Wish they would have won the World Series over the Dodgers last year. But I'm glad at least they both Judge and Soto stay in New York, and we might get years of them facing each other in a possible Subway Series matchup for the next decade plus. So that's what I'm rooting for as a New York sports fan.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with you too that I'm going to give the Mets a slight edge right now with what they have and obviously the Yankees have been dealing with some injuries, including to their bullpen. Giancarlo Stanton, we know, has gone through his own stuff when it comes to his injury, and then when we go to
he should be back soon. He's been rehabbing in Double-A. He should be back soon. He does great in the postseason. Can't ever stay healthy. And then also the Yankees closer, Luke Weaver's been out. He's out 4 to 6 weeks. So when they get him back, that's another great piece.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting, but a lot of injuries that we're dealing.
Yeah, Luke Weaver, Garrett Cole, seeing these guys go out for the Yankees. I'm going to give the Mets a slight edge right now. What they've done to give themselves a cushion over the Phillies has been great. And I think that's, that going up against the Phillies every year, to me, is stronger than what the Yankees are going up against in their division this season, specifically as the Red Sox have kind of fallen down here. We'll see what happens in the series that we're going to have coming up for Father's Day with the Boston Red Sox and the New York Yankees, which is going to be in Boston. Now, Aaron Judge is batting .392. He has 25 home runs, 59 RBIs in 67 games. His on-base percentage is almost 50-50. He's at .488.
Yes. That means half the time he comes to the plate, he gets on base. And remember, there's not been a hitter who's hit over 400 in a season since Ted Williams did it in 1941. So Ted Williams in 41, the same year that Joe DiMaggio had that still record streak of 56 consecutive games with a hit. They battled for the MVP all year long with Yankees Red Sox. Ted Williams in 1941, which is now a long time ago, it's 84 years ago, was the last time a hitter hit over 400 for a season. Yeah. So now 84 years later, a big man like Aaron Judge, who mostly was known for hitting home runs, still hitting home runs, one of the league leaders in that, in RBIs and on-base percentage, but he's also leading in hits and batting average, and might be the first hitter to hit 400 in almost 100 years. So that's an incredible achievement for a guy who used to just be considered a slugger. He's now more than just a slugger. He's a great overall hitter who hits line drives. He hits singles, doubles, sometimes triples, steals bases, and he hits a bunch of behemoth home runs that are 500 feet, but he's a great overall hitter. So I give a lot of respect to him because Judge is not just a power hitter. He's a great overall hitter, which he was not in the beginning of his career. He's now way more than just a slugger.
Yeah, he's done a tremendous job. 98 hits this season in 67 games so far. So to see what Aaron Judge has put together, Paul Goldschmidt, former Arizona Diamondback, Paul Goldschmidt, looking at his work this season, he has 42 runs, 78 hits, and we're looking at 31 RBIs, only 7 home runs for Paul Goldschmidt, who's been around the league for a while here. Anthony Volpe doing his thing. I got a bunch of his rookie cards that I brought in from a deal I made with my big brother Joey. 31 hits in 66 games, including, 58 hits, 31 runs in 66 games, and he has 8 home runs, 38 RBIs so far for Anthony Volpe this season. So a shout out to Volpe in the work that he's done. But I'm gonna give the slight edge to the New York Mets. I think if Juan Soto starts getting going, you already see what Pete Alonso's doing, Kodai Senga, and other guys that they have in the rotation on the pitching side.
And then injuries, I'm going to quickly mention, Senga just got hurt his hamstring, so he's on the IL after missing a lot of last year. So that could also turn the tables. Now the Mets, who've been pretty healthy, now their best pitcher who leads the ERA with the low in baseball with low CRA. Now Senga could be out for a while with a hamstring issue. Does that bring the Mets down and give the Phillies a chance to overtake the division? So when you mentioned Senga, I want to mention that. He got hurt yesterday, a play covering first base when Pete Alonso made a high throw. He had a jump for the throw, and then he came down on his hamstring wrong. So no team is immune from injury. So now the Mets, who've been doing great all year and been pretty unscathed with some of their with all of their players, and now Senga is going to be out for a little bit.
Yeah, and so, I mean, that's something to look at. So, like I said, right now, the slight edge to the Mets, but when push comes to shove, we'll see what these teams look like later on in the season. We're about 70 games in, between 65 and 70 games right now. We'll see where we go from here. And another note that I want to make before we let you go, Ross, is the NFL, your Jets and your wife Abby's Steelers have essentially they've essentially made a trade. Now Aaron Rodgers is a Steeler. He's wearing Kenny Pickett's old number of 8, and Justin Fields is now a Jet. So they come from each other's teams, but they were not involved in a trade. I'd love to get your thoughts on how you and your wife's teams have swapped quarterbacks in an interesting way that was not trade related. It was just deals getting done.
We're going to have an ultimate showdown because that's one of the things I gave her for our anniversary yesterday. Yeah. We're going opening week to Jersey. You probably figured we were going to do this. Yeah. MetLife Stadium, Jets, Steelers, Aaron Rodgers debut as a Steeler quarterback, and Justin Fields debut as the Jets quarterback. We're going to the regular season opener on the Sunday, September 7th, a 1 o'clock showdown on CBS, and we couldn't be happier. So we've got good seats by the end zone, and that we will be there. I'm sure the Jet fans will serenade Aaron Rodgers with lots of booze. He's still overall, like the first year was thrown out the toilet because 4 plays in, he tore his Achilles on Monday Night Football, the first game, after 9/11 running out with the American flag. Everyone was so pumped for the Jets with all these Super Bowl hopes, and it all went out the window 4 plays into the season. Last year, he actually had some pretty good numbers if you just look at the numbers. But he also would point fingers at receivers who weren't lining up right, like Mike Williams. He complained about his coaches, probably helped in getting Robert Saleh fired after just 5 games, and then the team really fell apart after their head coach got fired. But overall, he had 28 touchdown passes, almost 4,000 yards last year at 40 years old. He actually had more touchdown passes. Hey, Lily. Hey, Puppy. He actually has more touchdown passes last year than Josh Allen, who won the league MVP, and Pat Mahomes, who's always a perennial MVP and Super Bowl winner. So he had better overall statistics than Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, who are at the peak and prime of their career, where Aaron Rodgers is at the end of his career. He'll be 42 come this December 2nd. But he's still overall a heck of a player. So it'll be interesting what he could do, because the Steelers have always, especially since Ben Roethlisberger got hurt and then his career finished up and retired, they've been looking for the next quarterback. Kenny Pickett wasn't it. Mitch Trubisky definitely was not it. Mason Rudolph has showed some positive signs. They brought him back, but now he's going to have to sit on the bench again unless Rodgers gets hurt. So Mason Rudolph's back in Pittsburgh. But the Steelers have desperately looking for the next quarterback. You know, they had the same problem when Terry Bradshaw was gone in the 80s. They didn't have a good quarterback for 20 years until Roethlisberger came in 2004. And now you wonder, is it going to be that many years later until they get their franchise quarterback? Rodgers is not the answer long term. He's there at most 1 or 2 years. We didn't even know if he was going to be coming back this year or not. He was flirting with the Vikings, saying, maybe I'll go to Minnesota. Who knows? Maybe I'll retire. Maybe I'll do another darkness retreat. Who knows with Rodgers? He's so, just crazy. He's just an enigma, but he's still very talented. You hope he's a good teammate. He's showing up to the OTAs and the workouts in all season and wearing number 8 like he did with the Jets and his college number at California, because number 12, just like the Jets had Joe Namath, number 12 is Terry Bradshaw's number. And Terry Bradshaw seems to hate Aaron Rodgers, doesn't like how indecisive he is, thinks he should just retire. So it'll be great to see what Rodgers has left if he can stay healthy. If he's the answer to get finally Mike Tomlin a playoff win after 8 years of not winning a playoff game. Yeah. They have a great defense. They have a great overall team. Can Rodgers be the missing link, even if it's just for 1 year? And then for the Jets, we've never really had a quarterback since Joe Namath left almost 50 years ago. So we've been looking for a quarterback for 5 decades, my whole life, more than my whole life. So the Jets are desperately looking for someone. They drafted Sam Darnold. He was a bust. Now he's doing pretty well with the Vikings, now the Seahawks now this offseason. And Zach Wilson was definitely not the answer. Aaron Rodgers showed some positive signs, but he was older, and they decided to dump him. They have a new coach in Aaron Glenn, who was a great defensive coordinator for the Detroit Lions. He was a great defensive cornerback when he was on the Jets back in the 90s. Now he's the head coach, is a new GM, and they wanted to bring their own quarterback, their own stamp on the organization. They didn't want to bring Aaron Rodgers back. They apparently had Aaron Rodgers fly cross-country from California to New York just to say, like Donald Trump used to say in The Apprentice, "You're fired," and he was very upset by that. But now Justin Fields has shown some good positives. With the Chicago Bears, he had some good years, but the team overall was garbage. With the Steelers last year, he was 4-2, had good overall numbers, but the Steelers and Tomlin decided to dump him when Russell Wilson was healthy from his hamstring injury 6 weeks into the year. And then he was pretty much like a Tim Tebow, like wildcat running package. He didn't really get a chance to play a legit quarterback after that. So now let's see. Justin Fields, it's a 2-year contract, $20 million a year. Could he be the answer? If not, then they're going to go back to the, either free agency or draft again. But right now, their draft quarterbacks have been a bust. Free agent quarterbacks have been a bust. I think it's worth a shot to see what Justin Fields could do. He could throw, he could run, he's a good leader. And so far, it's early. He's doing well right now with Garrett Wilson, the rest of the Jets, and Bruce Hill. I'll just stop that. So I'm excited to see what Justin Fields could do with the Jets. I'm excited what Aaron Rodgers could do. And my wife, who's not a big Aaron Rodgers fan, a lot of Steelers fans hate Aaron Rodgers. But if he starts winning for you, you're going to change your tune very quickly. If he helps you win playoff games and potentially win a Super Bowl, you will be the biggest Aaron Rodgers fan in 2 seconds, Steelers fans. Because right now you hate him. You're like, oh, he's a mess. Just let Mason Rudolph play. Mason Rudolph, to me, is not the answer. Or maybe he will be the answer in 1 to 2 years. Let's see what Aaron Rodgers could do. As they say, let Aaron Rodgers cook. See what he could do if he's washed up or if he could be good for 1 to 2 years. Maybe win you a championship. And then I'm curious to see if Justin Fields is the answer with the Jets. So I'm excited. Jets, Steelers, we will be there week 1 on Sunday, September 7th. As we bragging rights, and maybe if my Jets win, I'll be sleeping on the couch, but I'll be very happy, smiling as I sleep on the couch because my wife's Steelers lose. But right now, my early prediction of that game is I think Aaron Rodgers is going to be highly motivated, just like Justin Fields will be, to embarrass the Jets who gave up on him, cut him, made him fly cross country and say you're fired. And I think he will, as long as he stays healthy, knock on wood, I think Aaron Rodgers will light up the Jets defense, and I'm expecting Aaron Rodgers to have a great, I don't know if he'll have a great season. I think he'll have a great week 1 just to embarrass his former team, the Jets, just like I think October 26th on Sunday Night Football, I think he'll embarrass his former team, the Packers. I think he's going to be highly motivated to embarrass the Jets and the Packers, 2 teams that gave up on him, said you're done, washed up, and he will light them up. And I think, as a Jets fan, I'm very scared about it because I think Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers, I think it was Mason Rudolph playing. I think our Jets win. I think now Aaron Rodgers will be highly motivated to embarrass the Jets for giving up on him, and I think the Steelers will win a lot, bigly, and I think Aaron Rodgers will light up the Jets on opening week. But I hope I'm wrong, but it should be a fun one when we're at MetLife Stadium come week 1.
Yeah, I think it's listen. I think it's going to be very...
What are your thoughts, buddy? I want to know what are your thoughts about Aaron Rodgers and the Steelers?
I think Aaron Rodgers is... there's 2 things that I think.
He's a diva.
I think Aaron Rodgers. At this point, I just kind of look at it and say to myself, I'm happy he's playing another year. I don't know how it's going to work out. If history goes the way it goes for the Jets, he's going to have such a good year with the Steelers that Jets fans are going to go, oh, we are cursed. So
just because he's not on the Jets, like Sam Darnold, you leave the Jets, you magically become a good quarterback. That's the Jets' luck right there in a nutshell.
Yeah. So I do think that there's some validity that he'll have a season that are going to make Jets fans go, oh, so now you're going to do it.
We're cursed. I'm telling you, it's like the Red Sox cursed their Bambino until 2004 when they came back from my Yankees 3-0 deficit. Only basically ever do it. Right now, the Jets have been cursed since they joked in Little Nicky with Adam Sandler, that funny comedy from 2000, that, what's his name? Joe Namath must have sold his soul to the devil to win that one Super Bowl in 1969 because the Jets probably will never win again. And it's all because he gave everything to the devil just to win one Super Bowl. And now the Jet fans have to suffer in purgatory for centuries to come until the curse is broken. Because right now, it feels like a cursed organization.
Yeah. So, I mean, I do think that the Steelers might make the playoffs this year. I think I can see a world where the Steelers make the playoffs, the Jets don't, and then Jets fans lose their mind over Aaron Rodgers, and then they all of a sudden hate him again. I do think this is the last year for Aaron. I think if he comes back next year, I just don't really. I mean, this took a really long time. It's like if somebody really wanted to have Aaron on the team and there was a market and they were going to do it, I feel like it would have happened quickly. Yeah. But this took forever. And, I said Aaron Rodgers would have a couple seasons with the Jets, which he did. He had a couple years there. And it didn't work out. There were people thinking the Jets were going to win a Super Bowl. I did not think that way. And I did think that if he had stayed healthy a couple of years ago, they could have gotten to 12 wins. But he did not stay healthy, unfortunately. So ultimately, I think Steelers will have a better season than the Jets. I'm excited to see Justin Fields with the Jets because I never thought I would see that. I thought the Jets were going to go more pocket passer, and Justin can do a bunch of different things. I hope it works out for Garrett Wilson. I hope it works out for a bunch of the Brees. Obviously, I want it to work out for Brees and the crew. I would like to see the Jets' offense be explosive. I'd like to see their defense get back on pace to what they're capable of doing. They have a lot of talent on that defense. They did some good things a couple of years ago. They got a bunch
Do you think
of
Aaron
young
Glenn will
contracts.
be helping in that matter?
Right.
Former Jet star defense player who was a great coordinator on Lions championship caliber teams last couple of years. Do you think that Aaron Glenn could help that defense and finally be a fresh face and a fresh voice to maybe lift the Jets up? I'm really rooting for Aaron Glenn. I'm drinking the Kool-Aid hoping for the best, but I'm fearing for the worst. And then with the Steelers, I don't know your opinion. They usually have a 500 win record. Mike Tomlin's never had a losing record his whole career with the Steelers for like 18 years. Can they continue that with Rodgers? Because it would be embarrassing if Rodgers is the first quarterback, a Hall of Famer, to break Tomlin's streak and they have a losing record. That would be embarrassing for Tomlin and Rodgers. And can they finally win a playoff game? Because they usually get to the playoffs or at least finish with 9 wins, but then in the playoffs they're one and done and they get blown out. Can they finally break that cycle, have another winning season, but actually at least win one playoff game? Because I don't think Super Bowl is really realistic with the Bills and the Chiefs and the Eagles and all those teams. Yeah. But I think to win one playoff game, that's reasonable. And I think Tomlin, who's a great coach, he needs to find a way to win one, at least a playoff game now. It's been almost a decade. And it should be interesting because at least he's a Hall of Fame coach with a Hall of Fame quarterback. I think if it was an inexperienced coach, I think, what's his name? Aaron Rodgers would run all over him. He wouldn't respect him. I think he at least has Tomlin's respect. He respects Tomlin. Tomlin respects him because they know that they're greats at their professions. If it was a young quarterback or a young coach, I think the other one would think, "Oh, you don't know what you're talking about. I don't have to listen to you." So I'm curious what your opinion about that is.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, I know Aaron Rodgers has had a good relationship with certain people. I'm very close to Nate Hackett. And so he has a different view of Aaron Rodgers from spending a lot more time with him. And he said, Aaron will call you out, but you can also call Aaron out. And, if he respects you and thinks you know what you're talking about, you can have a conversation with him. So he painted a different picture of Aaron Rodgers, knowing him behind the scenes, away from the camera, that, he is knowledgeable and he will call you out, but that he's still teachable and that Aaron will tell you when he thinks he knows something, but that you could talk to him about it as well. So, I mean, do I think that Aaron Rodgers is a little bit of a diva? Yeah, kinda. Do I think Mike Tomlin's going to put up with it? No. Do I think this team can make the playoffs? Yes. Do I think they'll win a playoff game? No. I think if Aaron Rodgers gets to the playoffs with the Steelers, that's his swan song. That's his way into the sunset. And, I wish him all the best with that. I'm happy he's still playing, but
because you will miss him when he's gone, just like Tom Brady. I know he's won a lot less than Brady.
Dramatic. It's very dramatic with Aaron.
Well, it's kind of like Brett Favre, which like will he or won't he? Will he retire? Will he not retire? He apparently hated Brett Favre for stringing the Packers along and maybe getting screwed over, and Favre was going to come back and take Rodgers' job. But now Rodgers is doing the same thing as Brett Favre was doing. So I agree with you, though. Will they or won't they? you got to be decisive.
Yeah.
I know when you're older, it's hard to make decisions. Will he play? And it took a long time. So it'll be interesting. And then the other thing on a weirder situation is he's wearing a wedding band. They asked him, "Are you married?" He said, "Oh yeah, for a few months." But at this point, can you trust him? Because he said something similar about the COVID vaccine where he said, "Oh, I'm immunized." Is he married or is he in his mind married? I don't know. If he's married, I wish him the very best. But I don't know if I can necessarily believe what Aaron Rodgers says at this point. But if you want to look at a cool documentary, go on Netflix. I watched it. It's like a 4-part documentary called Enigma, and it's all about Aaron Rodgers. So if you want to see some of the craziness and his mindset, and it's interesting. But I don't know. But do you think he's married? I don't know if you can trust him at this point.
Well, and that's the thing is like I don't know if I can honestly trust that he's married right now. It says that he is, but I could also see Aaron Rodgers talking about being married and just speaking on it for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then he, right before the season, he goes, "Yeah, I am married." And they're like, "Oh, is it to Brittany? Is it to your girlfriend?" And he looks at his finger and he goes, "No, I'm just married to the game." So I
can see that. Like it's weird. Like he's wearing he's wearing the wedding band, and then it's like since that whole "I'm immunized" thing, and he really wasn't. Like, I don't know. Like it doesn't matter, but I don't know if you can trust anything he says at this point.
No.
He's kind of a narcissist. He's a very talented narcissist, but I think he thinks he's smarter than everyone else in the room and every media person.
I could see
every
him
coach.
say he's married to the game. And I could absolutely see a Dennis Rodman type moment when we thought Dennis was married and Dennis showed up in, I don't think Aaron's going to show up dressed in the gown.
On a wedding dress,
But that wedding dress, that was a weird moment in history. I think Aaron Rodgers might be that weird moment in our history right now. But I do think they can make the playoffs. I think they'll have a better season than the Jets. And I think
but is that enough, though, with Tomlin? Like, I know Tomlin won a Super Bowl, made another one, but he's still of late in the last, almost 10 years.
He
can't win a playoff game. Is that enough to make the playoffs and not win a playoff game?
He is one of the most consistent coaches in the country. Mike Tomlin has the right to leave when he wants to.
I agree. I just know there's a lot of Steeler fans, and a lot of it, you won't appreciate him until he's done coaching you. And then maybe you don't have as much success because they're consistent. And I'll just stop that. Every year they're consistently a contender and they have a winning or 500 record. But I know there are Steeler fans who are like, we need to at least have some progress. The one and done playoff and with TJ Watt, and they feel like they're wasting the prime of these Hall of Fame players' careers where TJ Watt has never been able to go deep into the playoffs. Never the Steelers ever will fire him. I think he'll leave when he wants to leave. He's earned that right. He's a Hall of Fame great coach. You'll miss him when he's gone coaching. But I know there are a lot of Steeler fans, when you listen and you're around my wife, with a lot of Steelers diehard fans, they're disappointed and they're frustrated that they haven't won a playoff game in almost a decade.
Yeah, so I think that they'll get to the playoffs. I do believe that they can get to the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to win a game in the playoffs.
Well, it also matters about matchup. Who do you play? Like if you play like an easier team who snuck in with young players, you might win.
Who are they going to face?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
If you play the Bills or Chiefs
if you play
in the
Kansas
playoffs,
City, Buffalo, Baltimore,
what are
we talking
You're not going
about?
to probably win those games.
Are they going to play Denver and hope to sneak one over a good defense and a quarterback that I like, on that side of it with my guy Bo? And so, I genuinely, you don't fire Mike Tomlin. I think that this circus is something that Tomlin's going to work. He's going to do what he's got to do for a year, but I don't think that I don't think Tomlin can be judged by the circus of this year, no matter what they do. I think he's got to build toward the future. I think if the Jets have a terrible season, they could draft Arch Manning. So I do look to that side of it as well. And ultimately, like I said, I see the Steelers having a better season than the Jets. I think the Jets will struggle this season. I don't know what type of Aaron Rodgers we're going to see, but in a joking and also serious way, I think if you follow the bouncing ball and you look to things in history, it makes perfect sense that Aaron Rodgers is going to make the Jets look at him and say, who the hell are you and what did we get for the last 2 years?
Yes, because as much as it's the circus, if you win, you wish to like an ex-girlfriend, you're going to be jealous, looking at her Instagram at the pictures and be envious that you missed out on that ride. And either way, I think it's going to be must-see television, just like when he was on the Jets. love them, hate them, whether the team stinks or not. And the Steelers should be a pretty good team, at least about a playoff team or a winning record, because the Steelers always are, and they really have that championship pedigree, even though it's been a long time since they won a Super Bowl. I think you're going to want to tune into every Steeler game. I would also appreciate every moment you have with Rodgers, because love him or hate him, he's still a hell of a player. He's a Hall of Famer. You're going to miss him when he's gone from playing. But I think you're going to want to tune into every game just to see what he can do. And can he still compete at a high level? And I'm really curious, can he settle scores, especially against his rivals, against the Jets, against the Packers? He's going to go to Ireland and play a game against the Vikings. That's a team who said no to him. They're like, we'd rather go with J.J. McCarthy with a tore-up knee last year, or missed his rookie year. We'd rather go with an unproven commodity than you. When it made the Steelers look weak. They had an offer for months, and he was like, I'm waiting on the Vikings. Let's see if they say yes, I'll run to Minnesota. They told him no, and then he decided to go to the Steelers because it was either that or retire. So that also kind of makes it look weak, and maybe he'll get revenge on the Vikings for saying no to him, and the Bears, who he owned for years with the Packers, because that will be interesting to see when they go to Ireland, and there'll be a lot of Steelers fans go there because they travel everywhere. He goes to a Minnesota team who's got to be a hit to his ego, told him flat out, just like the Jets did, and the Packers did a couple years ago. They're like, thanks, but no thanks. Adios.
Yeah, and also, Aaron, thankfully, you didn't go to Minnesota, or else you would have taken the
Brett
same
Favre,
road as Brett Favre from being a Packer and a Jet and a Viking before you got everything done. And by the way,
there's always next year, though. He had a trip to the Steelers
and just like Brett Favre, he
could go to Minnesota
He made Jordan Love wait. He made Jordan Love wait. So you waited 3 years for Brett Favre, then you made Jordan Love wait with all that drama, and you and Brett went to the Jets, and you almost went to the Vikings. So it's funny how Aaron Rodgers may not have liked what happened, and then he almost did the exact same road as Brett Favre. So we'll see what happens from here. Hoping the best for Rodgers, the Steelers, and Justin Fields and the Jets. As always, brother, I appreciate talking with you, and I wish you a happy Father's Day one more time.
Thank you, buddy. Do you want to say something to Dan?
Thank you.
Thank
welcome,
you.
buddy.
And then I want to say, Jam get down, get to the chopper. Hasta la vista, baby. Thanks for having me on. Happy Father's Day. Have a great time with your dad. I know you got the bond with him in Italy. I'm going to baseball games, Yankee games, Diamondbacks World Series a couple years ago. Have a great time with your dad. I love you, buddy. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there and all the moms out there who are doing the job of both mom and dad. I give my tip of cap to you as well. Have a great weekend. And thanks for having us on, buddy. My LJ loved it, and hopefully he gets 1 million views on his YouTube channel that he doesn't have yet, and he'll become a internet sensation. You'll get 5% of all the money he gets, he says.
All right.
No, you don't.
He says, no, you don't. You get no money, and you like it because you made him a star. And now Lily will be a star because she's on TV as well.
Oh, yeah. Lily definitely, Lily increases the value of the show exponentially. But thank you as always, buddy. I love you, and I hope you have a great Father's Day, and thanks for being the dad that you are.
Thank you, buddy. Happy Father's Day. Bye-bye.
Take care. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, one more step aside before we wrap things up. Take care, buddy. Avicoli's, located on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, has been your trusted neighbor for decades. Located just steps from Liverpool High School, we're happy to have the Liverpool Warriors on-site, on-location broadcast at Avicoli's through Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora every single month, featuring student athletes, coaches, and administration throughout the year from Liverpool High School. Head out to Avicoli's today on the corner of Route 57 and Wetzel Road in Liverpool, New York, open Tuesday through Sunday for lunch, dinner, and drinks. We'd love to see you out there. And of course, you can call them at 315-622-5100 for takeout, delivery, and catering. That's 315-622-5100. And also find them on myavicolis.com. That's myavicollis.com. Having peace of mind when you're out of town that your furry-loving friend is safe and sound means taking them to K-9 Campground, because we all know that when it comes to the love of our pets, it goes well beyond the call of duty to make sure they're safe and sound. Right, Lily? So take a ride to 242 Johnson Street in East Syracuse, New York, and see K-9 Campground and where your dog will be staying in the classic cabin, the executive cabin, the grand cabin, or of course the luxury cabin, because if you know Lily, you know she loves luxury. Now you don't have to wait to the last minute to find a family member or a friend that'll take your dog for a few days. Call K-9 Campground at 315-299-4013. That's 315-299-4013. Their drop-off and pickup times are Monday through Sunday. Check K9Campground.com for more information. That's the letter K, the number 9, and campground spelled with a K.com. K9Campground.com.
When you're going out of town, bring your dog to K-9 Campground.
Looking for your next ride? Look no further than Great Lakes Honda City, located on 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Serving our community for decades, their new and pre-owned vast array of vehicles are available to you Monday through Saturday on site. To search from home, shop at GreatLakesHondaCity.com. Call 315-365-5576 to set up an appointment. That's 315-365-5576 for Great Lakes Honda City, 7140 Henry Clay Boulevard in Liverpool, New York. Great cars, great people, Great Lakes.
Carvel DeWitt, it's what happy tastes like. Do you know why? Because we make ice cream. Creamy, rich, flavorful ice cream. Not yogurt or iced milk like some of our competitors. Ice cream. Fresh, by hand, daily. For the calorie conscious, we have something new for you. Our new Carvelite. Same great flavor, creaminess, and texture of our regular ice cream with only 35 calories an ounce. So whether you want an ice cream cake, flying saucer, dasher, carvalanche, hard or soft ice cream, we will satisfy your craving with our fresh, handmade regular or new Carvelite ice cream. Carvel DeWitt. It's what happy tastes like.
The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is located on 3680 Milton Avenue in the Home Depot Plaza. It is your family-friendly sports bar and restaurant. Folks, some sports bars aren't family-friendly. Some family-friendly restaurants are not sports bars. The Wildcat Sports Pub in Camillus, New York is proud to be both. It is that marriage that you've been looking for years. The Wildcat Sports Pub is your home base for your sports bar and restaurant needs, games for the kids, indoor and outdoor activities, and enough things on the menu to come back every single week and get to try something new. They're open Sundays from noon to 8 p.m., Monday through Wednesday, 11 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Thursday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to midnight. For reservations and party information, call 315-487-2222 for the Wildcat family-friendly sports pub and restaurant.
GG Cards and Breaks. Like, comment, subscribe.
GG Cards and Breaks is available to you on 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. Head over there to see them Tuesday through Saturday from 10 to 6 and Sundays 10 to 5. Your sports card and trading card shop is GG Cards and Breaks. They have everything that you need to protect your cards, all different size sleeves, top loaders, as well as boxes to travel with your cards, showcases to showcase your cards, the one-touch cases for those cards that are truly your most prized possessions. Make sure you get out there to GG Cards and Breaks today. Soccer, hockey, basketball, baseball, football, and more, including Disney Lorcana, Magic the Gathering, Yu-Gi-Oh!, Pokemon, while supplies last. GG Cards and Breaks helps you be a big kid and gets you closer to the players you love, the teams you love, and the games you love to play. We'll see you over there at 639 Delmar Place in Syracuse, New York. With that being said, here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, I want to thank you for tuning in inside the Great Lakes Honda City studios on youtube.com and facebook.com, both /WakeUpCallDT, on wakeupcalldt.podbean.com, Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Once we go live, we jump into the archives, Amazon Music, Audible, iHeartRadio, iTunes, and Apple Podcasts, Player FM, Podbean, Podchaser.com, Podvine, Spotify, TuneIn, and YouTube. All you have to do is search Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora, or one word, Wake Up Call DT. And thanks for doing that. It is free to subscribe and follow. Big time thanks to Brooklyn Pickle. We have a segment that we do with the Brooklyn Pickle down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. It's called In a New York Minute, and a new episode of In a New York Minute is now available to you on our social media, Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, and Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. You can find my positive message today, and the topic for this edition is Follow Your Heart and Create Your Own Reality. Follow your heart and create your own reality. You can check that out today by going on our social media. It's also on my story on Instagram at wakeupcall_DT. So make sure you check us out today and check out the Brooklyn Pickle down on 1788 Old Morganton Road in Southern Pines, North Carolina, right by Pinehurst Golf Course down in Southern Pines, North Carolina. Many thanks to our fantastic and wonderful team of partners in Central and Upstate New York. Cannot thank you enough. Great Lakes Honda City, Carvel DeWitt, the Wildcat Sports Pub, GG Cards and Brakes, as well as Ma and Pa's, the snack capital of the world, Avicoli's, Mother's Cupboard, where my breakfast sandwich is available 7 days a week, Servomation, Chick-fil-A Cicero, Pizza Man, Brian's Landing, and to go back to Carvel DeWitt, it's the only place that you will find the DT Dolphin, which is my very own ice cream and ode to the Lemoyne College Dolphins. Right down the road from the Dolphins, you will find the DT Dolphin, and you can get it 7 days a week. And on Wednesdays, you can get the DT Dolphin, buy one, get one on Wednesdays. Mint chocolate chip ice cream that is green for the Dolphins, topped off with whipped cream and a cherry, hot fudge, green and gold sprinkles, and a chocolate dolphin jumping out of your whipped cream. And you can get it today and every day of the week at Carvel DeWitt, 4322 East Genesee Street in DeWitt, New York. And of course, you can get my exclusive breakfast sandwich at Mother's Cupboard by going to 3709 James Street in Syracuse, New York, 7 days a week from 6 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. Bacon, egg, and cheese inside of 2 pieces of French toast. Cut it up and have it with some syrup. Pick it up and eat it like a sandwich today. Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora is the exclusive multimedia marketing partner of your Lemoyne College Dolphins. Find the Dolphins every single Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time during Dolphin Time with student athletes, coaches, administration, future Dolphins, and alumni. You will find their stories on youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find the Lemoyne playlist. The Dolphins are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to LemoyneDolphins.com and fins up. The Bryant and Stratton College Bobcats of Syracuse are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bobcats every single month in the Bobcat Buzz here on Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining us throughout the year to tell their stories. And you can find all their stories by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, and find our BSC Syracuse playlist. The Bobcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to syracuse.bscbobcats.com and go Bobcats. The Binghamton University Bearcats are exclusive multimedia marketing partners with Wake Up Call with Dan Tortora. Find your Bearcats every single Tuesday at 10 a.m. Eastern Time during Bearcat Time. Student athletes, coaches, administration, and alumni joining us Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. And you could find all of our content with the Bearcats by going to youtube.com/wakeupcalldt. Click subscribe, hit the notification bell, find the Binghamton playlist. The Bearcats are also on wakeupcalldt.com's homepage and underneath the exclusive partners tab. For more information, go to binghamtonbearcats.com and go Bearcats. With that being said, I want to thank Carvel DeWitt for the annoying moment of the week, Chick-fil-A Cicero for lead, learn, evolve, ad-lib, and deliver. Today's topic, getting off the hamster wheel. I want to shout out all the dads on Father's Day and always, all throughout the year, for being our top dogs of the week, and our moms for being our top dogs of the week as well throughout the year. Shout out to parents that care and guardians that care and all the love you give, including the tough love you got to give sometimes when you're raising kids to have good responsibility, accountability, and concern and care for themselves and others. And a big time shout out to a great dad I know, my brother Ross Turetsky. I hope you all have a wonderful, safe, and happy weekend. And I look forward to talking with you soon. Facebook at Wake Up Call DT, X at Call DT, Instagram at Wake Up Call _DT. And whether you're a dad of a dog, a cat, a bird, whatever, including all those little humans running around, happy Father's Day. From the Great Lakes Honda City Studios, God bless. No stress. Do your best. We'll talk soon.